Everybody ready? Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of November 9th, 2022 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I don't have the PSA. Nope.
You can read it afterwards.
Here.
I don't think I don't think.
It's not in order.
Oh,
Here.
okay. It's just.
You got it. You got it. You got it. I want mine. Hold on.
Oh, come on. Yeah,
It's not working.
I think it's overheating, to be honest, because I don't.
No, it's cold, but I don't feel the fan blowing.
You know,
So this is a sign. It's time to wrap it in.
actually, isn't technology wonderful?
You should see, I got a new Promethean board in my culture. It's like a smart board, but even smarter. The thing glitches every 5 seconds. I'm like,
Steve, did you kick something over there?
Nothing, you blaming me
He
already?
sits there at
No,
every
this is on.
meeting. He
This
would-
is on.
Sorry about, we're having some technical problems. We've
I'm
fixed
sorry.
them now. Wait, hold on, I have to just, 1 second, please. Okay, yes? Yes, okay. Okay, Sue, roll call, please.
Okay, Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez.
Here.
Council President Morgan.
Public service announcement for November 9th, 2022. New community alert system. Receive community information instantly. Sign up at Nixle, Nixle.com. Nixle replaces Swift Reach. Washington Avenue Pascack intersection. Construction is slated to run through December. Work hours are 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Motorists are advised to avoid the intersection if possible and expect some delays during these times. For the latest updates on road closures and new bus routes, please monitor the police department and township social media postings. For specific plan details, please visit our website. Pursuant to NJSA 46-8-28, landlords are required to complete a landlord identity registration form for single-unit dwellings that are non-owner occupied. The completed form is to be filed in the office of the township clerk with a copy to be given to the tenant. The form is available on our website on the township clerk page. Fourth quarter property tax payment grace period is November 10th. The tax office will be open until 6 p.m. Township offices will be closed Friday, November 11th in honor of Veterans Day, Thursday, November 24th for Thanksgiving, and Friday, November 25th in observance of Thanksgiving. The next meeting of the Township Council will be held Monday, December 5th, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Approval of minutes, March 16th, 2022, for budget meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. March 21st, 2022, public meeting, conference agenda, and budget meeting. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, you have an appointment this evening?
We're skipping that for now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah,
Okay,
they'll be
sorry.
here later.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll let me know when. I'll move it to the side.
I'm sure you'll see them.
We're still on you. Report of the mayor, please.
Thank you again. Good evening, everyone. Police Department. On October 12th, Chief Skinner and Officers Sinatra, Ozenbrook, and Bobadilla participated in and escorted George School for International Walk to School Day. On October 15th, most of the members of the department attended our Town Day Festival, and the PBA provided popcorn for the event. Some of our SLEO 3 officers were also present to meet the public. On October 21st, Captain Calamari and Lieutenant Shearer attended the funeral memorial service for 2 Bristol, Connecticut police officers who were ambushed and murdered while on duty. As always, the department asked me to remind everyone to lock their cars and remove their key fobs from the car. Halloween. I would like to thank the police, fire, and ambulance departments for their participation in the town's safe trick-or-treating program on Colonial Boulevard. The event was another tremendous success. I am sure Councilwoman Velez will go into more detail on this and all of the Halloween events this year. Recreation. The Fun with Art program has been a big hit with the children who are enrolled in the program. They created some nice Halloween artwork in the first few sessions of the program. The basketball program is still looking for more coaches. If you are interested, please contact Dan Scudieri for more details. A background check is required for all volunteers aged 18 or older. Fire Department. The department is settling into the new building. Driver training continues for Ladder 41. The truck should be placed into service shortly. Many of the members attended Town Day, where they always enjoy interacting with the public. The department suffered the loss of ex-chief, ex-director, and life member Rick Guger. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Guger family. New Emergency Services Building. The old building has been turned over to the contractor for demolition. Unfortunately, more asbestos than anticipated has been found. The project from inception to date budget has been posted on the town website. I am happy to report that the project is well within the budgeted amount funded by the council and is projected to remain that way through project completion. DPW. The garden and monthly debris programs ended in October, and they will resume in April. The department took delivery of their new backhoe on October 4th. They responded to a sewer backup at the intersection of Pascack and Ridgewood Roads on October 7th. They were instrumental in the setup, knockdown, and many things in between to make sure their part of Town Day made it the success that it was. 2 crews went out early to start leaf collection, and full crews have been out since the official start of leaf collection, which was October 31st. The department has 4 sanitation trucks available for leaf collection. The 5th one is currently at the county being repaired. The loader is having its brakes repaired. Our neighbors in Emerson have lent us a front-end loader for as long as possible or until ours is back, whichever comes first. DPW facility. We continue to explore different options that will be discussed during the conference session of tonight's meeting. The clerk reached out to some of the local municipalities regarding their experiences with steel buildings. New Milford responded that they ordered one about 2 years ago, and it was just delivered and installed, and its life expectancy is estimated to be about 30 years. The DPW feels they can build the salt shed in-house at about half the quoted cost. Storage of DPW equipment. Administrator DiCarlo reached out to County Executive Tedesco to introduce himself and to discuss the possibility of the county storing some of our equipment at a county facility. The county executive told Mark they could help in a pinch for a brief time, but could not assist us with any long-term needs. Mark asked if a written request was required to memorialize the conversation, to which the county executive replied it was not. Anyone who came to Town Hall yesterday to cast their vote would agree that the parking lot already has insufficient space for employees and residents when they need to visit the location. And that was with some of the DPW workers being off for the day and other town employees working remotely for the day to free up every potential spot available. Also, many of the town employees that were in the building parked off-site to help the situation. That, in addition to the letter written by our Golden Seniors, demonstrates that Town Hall cannot support any additional DPW equipment. One of the reasons a majority of the council members voted in favor of the bond ordinance for the acquisition of Charlie Brown's property did so because they all understood the department requires more space than they currently have to perform their jobs and offer services to the residents that they are asking for. It would be a disservice to all those people to entertain bringing any of that equipment back to Town Hall. Intersection. The work is continuing at a good pace. Please check the town website and Facebook page for daily updates regarding detours. Dog park and bocce ball court. Boswell Engineering checked on the status of the grants for these projects, and they are still active and available. Boswell will be providing us with cost estimates and other info to start on these projects in the spring. A scoreboard for Gardner Field has been ordered. We recently received almost $97,000 from the JIF for damage to the roof at Town Hall caused by a hailstorm in August 2021 and ice damage from a February 2022 event. Boswell will be inspecting the roof structure to see if it can support solar panels before we replace the roof. The ADA improvements at Cherry Field are currently under construction. ADA sidewalk ramp plans for all sidewalk intersections on Pascack Road have been submitted to the county in anticipation of repaving the road, expected to take place next year. We await plans from the New Jersey Turnpike Authority regarding a signal at Garden State Parkway, exit 168 and Washington Ave. A virtual meeting recently took place regarding the intersection of Washington and Van Emberg Avenues. Those in attendance were me and Administrator DiCarlo, representatives from Boswell Engineering, and the county engineer. Crash data is currently being collected and will be evaluated to see what, if any, changes can be recommended. The public hearing on the swim club grant took place in October. We expect to receive formal notification on the grant in the next 30 days. New bushes have been planted between Finity Place and the shopping center. We've been advised by our tax assessor that the town is due for a full reassessment. We're gathering more information to present to the council for next year's budget. We have ordered new smart thermostats for Town Hall to better control the temperatures when rooms are not in use. Doing so will extend the life of the HVAC equipment and reduce our energy costs. I am disappointed, along with my fellow mayors, that the TANC board unanimously declined our request to give us from the Pascack Valley Mayors Association a seat on their board. Their reasoning was that they would have to accept requests from other mayors associations, even though their own charts, graphs, and data show the residents of the Pascack Valley are enduring the inconvenience of most of the flights approaching Teterboro Airport. We will continue to let our voices be heard. Our Veterans Day ceremony will take place Friday at 11 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial at the library. Please come out to honor our veterans. There seems to be renewed concern about development at the 450 Pascack Road property. How often does over 3 acres of property come available adjacent to an existing field? I would like to see the town acquire the property using the proceeds from the grant we are likely to receive from the swim club property purchase. What better way to spend open space grant money than to acquire additional property that would remain open space next to the town's flagship field? Sorry. I hope everyone will recall my dedication to acquiring the swim club property. I was involved with the group that mobilized the residents into showing their support for that purchase after it was initially turned down by the council. Your voices and concerns were heard loud enough to get one member of that council to change his mind. Please let your voices and concerns be heard again for this purchase. I want to publicly state that although I do not have a vote on allocating money for the purchase, I am in favor of purchasing this property. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Okay, report of the council. Councilman Casio?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was interested, and Pete answered a question I had about the Martini Park and that we're doing the bocce courts because that's not a project that we had going on for a long time. And the plans have been in work. It just hasn't been put into effect. So we're looking at the spring, thank goodness.
Correct. Yeah.
And I really want to thank everyone yesterday for coming out to vote. It's very important here in our society to do so, and I'm glad everyone took the opportunity. That's the best thing you can do as a citizen. So thank you for coming out. I know it's crowded. I know it gets busy up here, but thank you for the effort. We appreciate it. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank
Thank
you. Councilman Sears?
Thank you, Council Vice President. First, tomorrow is the Marine Corps' birthday. I want to wish my brothers and sisters in the Marine Corps a happy birthday. Friday, November the 11th at 11 a.m., we will hold our veterans service at the library. And after that, there will be awards and coffee and cake inside the library. I want to bring you up to date on our Health Day and 5K run. We had to change the date to April the 15th instead of the 22nd. That was in conflict with the opening day of baseball. So you will be hearing more about that as we move forward in the year. Our Fill It Forward project with the middle school, that's where every child received a water bottle with a digital sticker. So every time they filled their water bottle up, it registered, and we saved not having a plastic bottle thrown in the recycling. So our year's coming to an end. We have 84 members that are participating in Fill It Forward. We saved 1,872 plastic bottles from going into refill. 1,768 pounds of emission to make those bottles has been reduced. 154.6 pounds of waste has been diverted. No plastic bottles. It takes around 400 years for a plastic bottle to actually dissolve. So I want to thank the kids in the middle school for doing an excellent job. And we will be moving to the high school coming up soon. The green team is working on a stigma-free day within the community. We have been working with a contractor on getting shirts, and the way the team decided to come up with this shirt, I just want to show it to you. And we're going to be asking, we're going to be doing the grammar school and the middle school kids first. It's going to be part of our stigma free, and we want to get the kids involved with a great cause. With that being said, the green team has finished all their planting for the year. We will be having a December meeting to come up with our projects. Thank you, Council Vice President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Blythe?
Yes, thank you, Council Vice President. So bear with me. October's been a very busy month. We started off with Town Day. As we all know, Town Day was scheduled to be in the beginning of October 1st, I believe. And unfortunately, due to the weather, we had to change it to October 15th. It is with the help of all our volunteers and committee that months worth of planning was able to be replanned within 2 weeks. So thank you to all the volunteers and the committee for all their help. It really does take a village to make these events possible. I also want to thank our DPW. We are very blessed to have an amazing DPW, a wonderful crew who was there the day before, the day of, doing the heavy lifting, getting us all set. I'm very grateful to their work and, everything they bring to the table with, smiles on their face. So thank you, gentlemen. It's hard and a lot of work to organize a 3,000 person event. So thank you. To all our sponsors, I know times are tough, but your generosity doesn't go unnoticed. I want to thank all our sponsors on behalf of the residents. Your support is pivotal to the execution of our community events. And I also want to thank the council for allocating money towards Town Day. So I appreciate that. Let's see, that's Town Day. Halloween. We started off with a drive-in movie at Township Theater. We were full of events this Halloween season. A pet costume contest. We had a winner, Ringo, who is a 2-year winner. So congratulations to Ringo. Pumpkin carving. Hopefully you saw on our social media. Our residents do an amazing job. I really encourage many more to participate because the talent is out there. Home decorating contest. We have so many residents that put a lot of time and effort into really taking care of their homes and making it scary and friendly and exciting for our kids. And Halloween really is all about the children. So I can't thank our residents, not only on Colonial, but throughout the whole town for participating. We had 3 winners again this year. One repeated winner, which was actually Ringo's family, as well as 2 new winners this year. As the mayor said, Halloween on Colonial. Thank you to our police department, our fire, our ambulance for their coordination and keeping our kids safe, because again, Halloween is about the kids. And that's, I was walking up and down Colonial, and there was a lot of positive feedback from parents saying how amazing that this opportunity is for them to just have 2 hours to trick or treat safely with their children. So once again, thank you to all our residents for their participation in our Halloween events. EMS tour. So I asked Mr. DiCarlo if he would be gracious enough to take me on a tour of the new emergency service building. I want to thank you for that. I think it looks absolutely amazing, beautiful, and built to last us well into the future. As we know, things change, trucks get bigger. So it's definitely built to withstand any improvements in technology, equipment. So I appreciate all those that were part of that process, very forward thinking on its development. And I'm really grateful to see that our fire department and ambulance will now be operating from very well-deserved spaces. I hope we could do the same for our DPW. Because at the end of the day, we're here to serve the residents, and giving them the equipment and the space to do it properly is absolutely important. Let's see. So on Saturday, the Girl Scouts Brownie Troop 98195 I met with them and was able to provide them a tour of our chambers. As a former Girl Scout many moons ago, I appreciate being a part of that opportunity to show our young ladies what it's like to be a female in a leadership role. The girls were great. They had awesome questions. They had even better responses to some of my questions. I want to thank the troop leaders, Maureen Colombo and Andrea Vecchione, for volunteering their time to bring this opportunity to our young ladies. It really was a pleasure for me to be a part of that for the young ladies. And thank you for the cookies. That was very sweet. And let's see. Okay. Tonight, I actually just came back from a PBA award dinner. Our police department was recognized for various awards, including the recognition of the Ukrainian project, which was led by Corporal Kangelosi and myself. It would not be possible without the efforts of our residents who made so many generous donations. So thank you to our residents. Also this evening, Officers Ozenbrook, Sinatra, Parcells, and Dispatcher Bilius were honored for saving the life of Sergeant Guger. Thank you, gentlemen, for all that you do, not just on that occasion, but every single day. And last but not least, coming up, we have the tree lighting, which is scheduled for Friday, December 2nd at 6:30 on Finnerty and I guess all of Finnerty. So please, make some time, put it on your calendar, December 2nd at 6:30 for our tree lighting. Once again, this year, we will be hosting the menorah lighting, which will be held on Sunday, December 18th at 6 p.m. It will be on the Pascack side of Town Hall. Please stay tuned for more details on that. This will be our second year separating the two events. So I'm happy that that is, something we are moving forward to recognize members of our Jewish community. And then last but not least, our holiday home decorating showcase will be taking place again this holiday season. Stay posted for details. And that is all I have for now.
Thank you.
Sorry for the long report.
Wow.
Thank you.
There's a lot going on.
Yes, busy. Can't be done with all the help of our volunteers. And one more thing, if you want to volunteer, please reach out. We can't make these events happen without people getting involved. So
Please add me to the list. Whenever the
Yes.
next meeting, I'm in.
okay, November 17th.
Okay.
All right. So again, thank you all. It's a team effort. Thank you.
So mine will be the final report. So I wanted to say thank you to Daisy and the police and the fire and the ambulance corps for the great Halloween event on Colonial. The residents who decorated, they always do a great job. The residents who donated candy, I love it because my daughter and her friends can run a little bit ahead. I don't have to worry about it. It really is it's a safe event. And everybody is so enthusiastic and the weather couldn't have been better. Thank you to our town clerk and the poll workers for a great voting day. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
After the last council meeting, I reached out to our administrator, Mr. DiCarlo, and asked him to reach out to the CFO and talk with the mayor and ask them to please see if there's money in the budget. Therefore, specifically, we've had a lot of residents come for both the planning board and the zoning board meetings and asking why they are not in person. Now, just to make everyone aware, which has been stated at several public council meetings, the council or the mayor and the administrator does not have any influence over the zoning board or the planning board because they are boards that operate independently. However, since the council it's hybrid, which means that we don't feel good or we can't be here, we can be remote. Our residents can view the meeting remote and participate, or they can be in person, the same with the planning board, zoning members, and the council members. So Mr. DiCarlo and the CFO were kind enough to find the money in the budget to allow for them to have that option. Now, I'm not influencing them. However, I am making the funds available with the administration and the CFO that if they want to go to a hybrid format, they can. So, and that is also on our conference agenda, but I just wanted to put that in my report this evening. So I wanted to thank Mr. DiCarlo and our CFO. Thank you very much for putting the work in to find the funds to make hybrid possible for both the planning board and the zoning board. And that's the end of my, oh, one other thing. We are doing Thanksgiving meals. If you would like to nominate someone for a Thanksgiving dinner, my email address is on the town website. We are also moving towards facilitating virtual payments for the donations. Now, these dinners come from residents. These dinners do not come from tax money in town. This is purely a program that I worked with several people on when COVID hit and our seniors were home alone for the holidays. And instead of having to cook a big turkey, we could provide them with a Thanksgiving dinner that they could enjoy. So information will be out shortly on where to send your donations. And if you'd like to nominate someone would be in need of a meal or would be home by themselves, please send me an email, or my cell phone number is on the town website. And we're still looking for volunteers also. That's all I have. Okay, we're going to move to general public comment. There is a limit of 5 minutes to each speaker. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. If by phone, *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. Each person wishing to address the council shall give his or her name and home address for the record. And we ask that only one person speak at a time with a 5-minute limit. Speakers are to direct all questions to the council president. All members of the public and the council are expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted, and the council president will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate their comments. Motion to open the public comment.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone like to come up and speak? Do you mind?
I don't.
Okay. Mr. Conti, you'll be next, okay?
Peter Zubiari, 47-plus year resident at 607 Beach Street. I've had I've never appeared before the town council nor submitted any form of complaint before today. I've always gone by the saying, you don't know unless you ask. On October 2020, I was seeking information on the correct procedure for contracting the construction of a retaining wall on my property. I was guided after speaking with the Township Building Department to contact Township Chief Engineer Paul Azzolino. I contacted his office on October 12th. We spoke briefly. He told me that the steps that I needed to take, part of those steps were a $50 application fee and a $1,000 retainer sent to his office. In April of 2021, I received an invoice from his office. Listed there was the phone conversation from October 12th at an hourly rate of $117 per hour, of which he charged me 1/4 hour. If I were to contact the Washington Township Police Department and ask for instructions on overnight parking, or contact a local sanitation company to ask on what day they pick up and their fees, I would not expect to be charged for simply asking this information. Yet I was in this case. What if I decided not to pursue the project? Would I still be charged without any project to complete? On September 19th of 2022, I received the second invoice. Listed was a July 21st phone conversation. I remember distinctly speaking with the chief engineer. I told him the project was underway and my contractor wanted him to inspect the project. He said he would be out during the week. That was it. For as brief as that conversation was, I was billed for 30 minutes, $62.50. On the first invoice were two charges from the township engineer. On March 26th to my contractor, and on April 8th to my building engineer. Both charges were for 15 minutes each. Well, in order. It appears odd to me that in speaking with both my contractor and the engineer regarding the project in detail, the calls were billed at 15 minutes each, while the July 21st call from me to simply ask when he could come out and run his initial inspection was at 30 minutes, $62.50. This call, to the best of my knowledge, had not taken more than 2 minutes. Mr. Azzolino, Peter Z, 607 Beach Street. How you doing, Peter? Very good. My contract is here. He'd very much like to see you at your earliest. Can't make it today? I'll be out before the end of the week. End of conversation. Half-hour charge, $62.50. Lastly, on July 22nd and 26th and August 10th, the township engineer made an on-site inspections to the project. In conferring with my contractor, he told me that the engineer was on site, and I quote, "no more than 10 minutes for each inspection." Please note, I was billed for 1 hour for each inspection, a total of $375. The township administrator had looked into my statements regarding the township engineer. I've been told that the matter is basically a done deal and not to expect any adjustment in the invoices. I truly find that hard to swallow. To date, I've incurred invoices from the chief engineer totaling $1,148.25. I am asking for the council to look into this matter. First, the charges on my initial phone call of October 10th. Second, the charges on my less than 2-minute conversation on July 21st, billed at 30 minutes. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, 1 minute left.
Thank you very much. And the on-site inspections on the 22nd, 26th, and August 10th that, according to my contractor, took no more than 10 minutes, but yet were billed at 1 hour each, $125, totaling $375. If this is the norm for Washington Township, I strongly feel that these policies should be looked into and reevaluated. Nowhere should anyone be charged for simply asking a question. I truly appreciate your attention to this matter, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Zubiari.
Thank you.
You've been in contact with the administrator?
Yes, I have.
Mr. DiCarlo or Mr. Mayor?
Hello, sir. How are you? I'm Mark DiCarlo. Nice to meet you in
How you
person.
doing? Pleasure.
Good. Hopefully, I seemed a little more understanding than as blunt as you made it sound. But I did meet with Mr. Azzolina and the mayor regarding this issue. I asked Mr. Azzolina to look into it. He did get back to me that he felt that the charging was accurate. He explained that although the resident may only see them there for a few minutes, that there's work that goes beforehand and afterhand. So unfortunately, I am not in control of his billing, but we did discuss it with him. We further then met with my building department personnel to see how we can address some of these issues on our end, whether it's being more expeditious or handling some of these phone calls where you're not going to get charged. It was totally understanding. So it's underway to come up with a plan on how to address most of it that we have control over.
Maybe there's another cursory look. You could look at his bill, especially about the initial phone call. Just a question. You could take it back and review it.
Yeah, I totally understand where the gentleman's coming from. It's just unfortunately, I don't have control over his billing. I did bring it to his attention. I specifically addressed each one of the line items that you were speaking of. And several weeks later, I had another in-person conversation with him where he told me the charges were accurate.
Okay.
Council President?
Yes.
May I? Mr. Carlo, I have a problem with it's a done deal, with what Mr. Zubiari said. Second of all, this is not the first complaint we have had with the engineer billing. I do have concerns if he's only out there for 2 to 5 minutes. What paperwork is he doing back at his headquarters for the other 55 minutes? Can we find out what he actually does? There was 3 visits, and it's a $1.25, which is pretty steep right now. Can we find out what paperwork does he do when he spends the 10 minutes and goes back to his building? Do we get an
Councilman Sears.
understanding of what he's actually doing?
With all due respect, I'd like to address the first issue. I never told this gentleman it was a done deal. I never said those
No,
words.
no, those are my words.
I thought
No,
I was
that's
very
his words.
attentive
That's what
to
I'm
you.
saying.
Those are my
I want
words.
to be able to understand why it's a done deal. We have to do something. Obviously, there's some problems here. So is there a way we can reach out to Mr. Angelina to give us an understanding to 50 minutes or the 45 minutes, other than the 15-minute visit that will cost $125 for each visit? I mean, does he go back and mark, looks good on his paperwork, or, I think we should really understand what his value is.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I think there'll be a follow-up with you.
I'm sorry?
I think there'll be a follow-up with you directly.
Okay,
Okay?
I thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any?
I mean,
Mr. Conti? Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, if, like Mr. DiCarlo said, if we can take some of the questions that our residents have and bring them through the administration,
Yeah,
then
I
that
agree.
will at least alleviate some of the costs for the residents. Find a different system.
I think that's a great idea. I'm glad that you're looking into that also. So I agree with Councilwoman Velez. Mr. Conti, yes, please.
Anthony Conti, 490 Ridgewood Boulevard North, Washington, of course, Township. You know the cat that ate the canary? This is beautiful. I came up here years ago with the same thing this man is complaining about. Years ago. My response back, Mr. DiCarlo, just so you know, my response back was all my charges were in line with other charges that people in Township have received. Deal with it, basically, is what I got. And it, as you can see, still hasn't changed. And what a shame. What a shame. That's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is because last month I was here and I made some comments about getting in touch with Mr. Tedesco. And it got back to me that I kind of threw Miss Morgan under the bus. I had no intentions of throwing Miss Morgan under the bus in any way, shape, or form, because she was the only one who told me the truth, that she did get in touch with Mr. Tedesco, and she did have a conversation with Mr. Tedesco, and that was confirmed by Mr. Tedesco. Who never got in touch with Mr. Tedesco until after the meeting was Mayor Calamari. He never had a conversation with him. He never had a discussion with him, even though he claims that Mr. Tedesco said, let me see, let me find the words because they just popped out of my head. I'm getting old. He said that Mr. Tedesco said if he helped one town, he'd have to help all towns. And according to Mr. Tedesco's office, he never said such a thing, nor would he say such a thing because he's there to help in any capacity he can in his ability. So that's why I'm here tonight. The other thing was, there was a newspaper article I was talking to a couple of the guys from the Pascack Press about why we're tearing down the firehouse when we really don't need to tear down the firehouse. You're looking for a place for a DPW facility. There's 4 bays there. You close the first 2 bays if you're concerned about parking for the firemen who have to pull in and park and get to the truck or whatever it is they need to do. There's other 2 bays open. You could put a lift in one, clean up that building, and you can put the excess machinery instead of at the swim club where we were supposed to have the tree lighting and community center and all that stuff that you said at the meeting to push this through. We must buy the township pool. Instead, you put all the DPW equipment at the pool instead of making it a community center and a beautiful park and the Christmas tree lighting and all that stuff you sold to the community. And that's straight from your meetings, straight from your mouths. I listened to it and I watched it, even though I wasn't allowed to speak. So now you want to buy 450 Pascack Road and you're selling it as open space. Well, the swim club was supposed to be open space and now it's a DPW parking lot. So what are you people really doing? What are you really up to? I don't believe it. I told the people of this town when you were going to buy the swim club, it was a mistake. You weren't being truthful. You're not using it for exactly what you said you were going to use it for, a swim club, community center, tree lighting, beautiful place for everybody to bring their families and all the rest of it. Now it's just a parking lot for the DPW. I don't see anything going on there. You want to use money, you want to utilize money properly, don't build that building. Use that spot right there and put your excess equipment where you want to put that building. Use the firehouse and use that 2 bays there to put your equipment. You could still have your Saturday pickups here at the town hall or drop-offs or whatever it is. You could have trucks there, you could have people. You don't have to add traffic to Washington Avenue. You don't have to add all that stuff. And Mr. Mayor, I can't talk to the mayor, I'll talk to you. There was a comment put on Facebook that the firemen, they need a place to park, and it made it sound like I was going after the firemen. Well, you might not know this, but I was a first responder at one time. I know what it's like to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, run out the door and help somebody who's dying. Okay, I was an EMT, well, I wasn't an EMT, I was a first aider. Volunteer first aider in Lodi Ambulance Corps, and if you want to look it up, you're more than welcome to. So I was a first aider. I know what it's like to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I know what it's like to help people. What you're doing to this town, this money you're spending, is only hurting the town. Please, listen to the people. Stop the spending. You're spending us into ruin. There's not enough, there's no commercial property in this town to cover the amount of money you people want to spend. Think about what you're doing. That's basically everything I have tonight. And good luck with Azzolino, because you're not going to get any answers. No, hey, I was here. Mr. Cassio knows I was here.
Time's up.
Okay, thank you. No reply?
Well, I didn't get there yet.
Okay.
Mr. DeCarlo, do you have anything, Mr. Mayor?
I just have one thing to add because most of this is repetitive back and forth. The old firehouse demo has been in the plans since original. We need the parking. That's why the ambulance cannot even operate out of that building yet because there's not enough parking on site. I'm sure you heard me in the previous meeting say, once the commuter parking lot is done, that I would consider putting vehicles there based on the demand of commuter parking at the time. We live in a different world than we did before the firehouse project even started. So the number of commuters may well not come back. So I'm happy to look at that, but I can only look at it once the parking lot is in shape. And the old firehouse is coming down, especially because if you heard in my report, more asbestos has been found. It's already been demolished a lot in the inside. That's how they're finding the asbestos. So, it was deemed not suitable for our fire department. I am not putting my DPW department in there when it was deemed not suitable for a fire department.
Anyone from the council? Yeah.
So in terms of the events at the former swim club, they're going to happen, right? It is going to be open space. We will have events there. We haven't even received the money in the grant. We cannot develop a 6-acre space within 6 months. You got to give us time. Yes, you want to talk about saving money? Well, we're saving it by not paying OLGC. So it is temporary. It's going to happen. Give us time. Give us time. If construction at a home takes a while, imagine 6 acres. Just have a little patience.
You said you want to use the money to buy 450 Tascac Road.
Mr. Conti, I'm
I'm
sorry,
not-
you're
I am not speaking, but to say that we sold the residents this idea and now we're using it as a storage facility, just give it time, sir. That's it.
I have to agree with Councilwoman Boaz. We have only owned the property for 6 months. That's the
We haven't
truth.
received the money.
We haven't, again, was just informed, the grant money, we haven't even gotten the award yet. Literally haven't gotten anything yet. Now, keep in mind too, the grant has specific restrictions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor?
I will. Go ahead.
Community center building is not, a structure will not be allowed when we use the grant money. So yes, those were original conversations. I agree with you. I said them wholeheartedly, 100%. However, in order to offset the cost of the purchase, like you're saying, to save money, to use grant money so that doesn't cost the town money, we have to adhere to the rules of the grant, which means that there probably will not be a community center because we cannot put a structure up. So there's nobody up here that's leading anybody down the wrong road. The facts of what transpired changed once we knew the grant money could be used to offset the cost. but we have to adhere to the rules of the grant. If we want to apply for it. Those are the facts. The grant information is public, it's public knowledge. It says specifically what you can and what you cannot do. So. Well, I was just, you were asking for a response, I was giving you a response. So the other thing is when it comes to, I don't know if somebody said those terrible things about our council president, about somebody said that somebody threw her under the bus. I don't have any knowledge about that. I don't think anybody else does either, but that's terrible that somebody would say that. What else was there? I'm glad to hear that you got a response from Mr. Tedesco. That's great. Thank you. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. Would anybody else? Yes. You're next.
Thank you. My name is Richard Miller. I'm a fairly new resident here, Washington Township. I've been here 6 months tomorrow.
Mr. Miller, your address, please.
Okay, I live at 10 Brayburn Drive, Township of Washington,
Thank you.
the Northgate community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President, what I'm asking for on behalf of myself and perhaps other members of Northgate is that we would like to be able to address the zoning board like we're addressing you. You know, it becomes a problem. It bothers me when I see that our elected officials, our town fathers, are open, having open meetings, and yet when we try to talk to the zoning board, it's all, you know, remote. We can't reach them. But I think you addressed something like that a little bit earlier, that we were going to be able to open it up to.
No, just to, you know, the only power I have is on council is I help with the budget. I can make the funds available to the planning board and the zoning board so they could go to a hybrid format because they need additional money to do that. That's the only thing I can do. Mr. Poller, I'm going to defer to you for the first part.
Well, in terms of the authority to make the boards.
I'm not saying make.
Just
Okay,
please let
okay.
Mr. Poller finish.
I mean, I just want to, you know, I'm
Okay.
sure everybody's aware of this. They're autonomous boards and the council doesn't have the authority to compel them to come and have a meeting in person. Okay, it's just not something that's in the power of the council to require that to have happen. That's something that the board does on its own. So, I mean, that's the only part that
And this is our town attorney.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay,
Thank you.
just letting you know, just
Okay.
making sure everybody knows.
yeah.
But my
And,
que-
and I will say that, you know, look, you know, this whole remote meeting thing obviously evolved during COVID. And I can tell you, you know, practicing in Bergen County for a lot of years, and we never saw it before that time. But when COVID came, the manner of operations changed and everything went totally remote, and then it went partially remote. But I will say, very honestly, that from what I've experienced, most everybody is back in person. I can say that.
yeah, I mean, all the schools are back.
Yeah.
Everything is back.
And the courts are back. The courts are back too, although they keep some of the stuff remote, but much more is in person. And things are being done in person. I think the remote stuff is kind of, you know, auxiliary to general operations, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I work, I'm a commissioner chairman at the Bergen County Board of Elections.
Okay.
And we just went through an election cycle, and everything was, you know, we did it both ways, you know.
Right.
And I think that's the way it should be done.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can force them to do it, but I would request that maybe you can use a little influence and tell them that, hey, we're doing it both ways. Why can't they do it? It doesn't make sense to me.
Mr.
Because
Poller?
there's a lot of issues that have to be addressed
So we can-
from our community, especially on, you know, the Four Seasons project that they're doing. And we would like to be able to speak to them in person on it, because when you're doing it remotely, I get the feeling if they don't want to speak to you, they could just click you on the side and, you know, mute you or whatever they want to do. And, you know, I feel it's a very important project that's being planned here in the community. and people should know about it, and they should know our feelings on it. And doing it remotely is not satisfactory as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you can do a resolution
We
to do
cannot.
this?
We are not able to, no.
No?
Mr. Pollard, could you please speak to the
Yeah, I mean-
resolution on the influence?
Even the resolution would do it. You can pass whatever resolution you like. You can't command them to appear in person, is what you're saying. You can talk all you like, and you can recommend, and you can cajole, and you can point out that everybody else is back, but they are an autonomous board.
Okay.
So
Council Vice President, you mentioned that there was money that was being allocated to them to open up the
For
meeting?
hybrid. So we're in a hybrid format. So
Right.
we have people attend online.
Right.
And council members can attend online also. And the mayor is invited along with Mr. Pollard and the township clerk. And, they needed the money in order to have that option, but they have to do that independently. No influence can come from anyone who sits here.
Okay, because one of our members, or a few of our members, have written a letter to them, dear members of the zoning board, Township of Washington. We respectfully request that your upcoming November 15th, 2022 meeting be held in person, in addition to your Zoom meeting, so that the citizens of the Township of Washington can express their concerns and questions in person. The proposed Four Seasons Town Center will directly impact our community, affect our traffic, et cetera. For these reasons, we're opposed to the rezoning from residential to commercial, and would kindly allow us to voice our concerns in person rather than do it remotely. And that's what we're asking for, just so we can express our views to the zoning board, because I don't feel doing it remotely really gets the message out to them. And so I would hope that maybe you could use your influence or ask them, or I don't know what, I know there's restrictions. The zoning
No,
board is
again-
separate from here.
Mr. Miller, I really want to be perfectly clear. The council cannot in any way, shape, or form provide any sort of influence, recommendation, or any resolution to the zoning board because they are completely separate and independent, not to cause a conflict of interest or undue influence from any member who has appointed them.
Right,
The
but you
same,
are-
the
but you
same
are-
goes for the mayor and the administrator.
But you are able to fund them money so that they can do it, which is what I understood you said before
Just-
they were doing.
And only money. That's it.
Okay.
That our form of government is.
But if you're
that-
giving them the money, I guess they'll get the message that we really want it done.
I am not saying that at all.
Okay.
That is not being.
Because I'm looking at
agreed
your
to.
paper here.
I'm sorry, if the audience needs to please keep their comments so we can
There-
hear the person at the podium.
I know you said you can't do certain resolutions, but there's a lot of resolutions on this paper. You can't
Mr.
do a
Miller?
resolution for that?
As our town attorney has already stated, we are unable to do a resolution in regards to the zoning board and the planning board provide any influence, recommendations to them. They are completely independent of the people that sit here,
Well,
completely
if you
separate.
ask them if they can use that money, that would be good. So this way we know what'll be happening next.
I can't do that either.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up? Yes, Mr. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Kessel, Kessel. I live at 39 Brayburn Drive. I've been an owner since 2008 and a resident on and off since 2002. My primary reason for coming tonight was to speak to the opportunity for the 3-acre purchase on Pascack. When I came here to speak in favor of that and to implore you to consider that as an important opportunity, 3-acre blocks are hard to find in Bergen County. They're few and far between. I heard the mayor say open space. I hope that that is not how it is used, even if that changed the consideration from the grant to the general funds or however that may be. I have a basic understanding of Mount Laurel. I understand we have to build a certain number of affordable housing units in line with what we do. That location for that purpose, because in any weather, it's a reasonable walk to Washington School, it's a reasonable walk to the shopping center. There's now sidewalks all the way to the bus stop. Given I was a child in the mid and late 70s, but I had to file my first tax return when you were getting 19% on the money market. I remember stagflation And
Right.
God willing, we're not going to see that now, but in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, paying the market rate for that 3 acres today may seem like the best decision some of you people ever made in furtherance of the town's interest. Now, there's other things going on tonight, and my hope is that that could be used for some affordable housing units, and as future construction goes on, you can get quite a bit on that 3 acres, if you think about it. And as it's on the county road, there's much concern, and I've heard abutters to some of the other affordable housing going up, I guess, by the upper Saddle River border, Vandenberg, expressing their disappointment about the change of the character of the area. The county road is somewhat commercial. It would fit in just fine there, the playgrounds and the basketball courts, for young parents, if that's the sort of tenants that affordable housing might bring in, a family with 2 parents but 1 car. I mean, that could work very well for us over time and meet those needs as future development causes density. Now, I know there's a lot of concern from my neighbors about the development of the Seasons site. We're all being reassessed next year. If you look at Hillsdale, if you look at Westwood, Hillsdale, if you look at the amount of commercial development there, the quality of life in that town, we don't have enough commercial. I don't like the commercial that's here. That's 20 some odd years of not collecting rent on a commercial property, looking at those blighted, disgusting, falling apart buildings. And if I own that site too, the amount of obstruction that guy has had over all the years, I wouldn't spend a penny on that until I had an approval to do something that was going to make money. He bought the land lawfully. I understand it's not a permitted use, that variances are required, but what do we want for this town? The Seasons, the other 3 corners are commercially used. I don't see the change of character. Now, there were better opportunities I've heard over the years that for one reason or another have fallen apart. Shame on whoever let that happen, but you can't let the guy hang forever. It's not right. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Kessel. Does anybody have any comments? No? Okay. Who wants, okay. Okay, fine. Mr. Scalia, how are you?
I'm doing well. 813 Rootwood Boulevard East, Joseph Scalia. So Pascack Road is not a business road. There's no businesses outside of the strip mall. This is a residential area. To put housing or high density housing in an area that butts up to a school is totally ridiculous. So we're going to put homes that overlook our school kids playing in the background. Who would want that? What's going to happen when the softball teams start playing at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? And those residents that bought homes there with the light shining in and the baseball players playing, what are they going to say? Noise complaints? When's that going to happen? Immediately. And what's going to happen? We're going to then restrict use on the field because we gave the property away to a builder who wants to change the look of our town? Ridiculous. This is a small town. We don't want to be Hillsdale. We don't want to be Westwood. We want to be Washington Township. And with the development that we're doing in this town, there's no strategy in what planning in the future. We're going to have to expand Washington School. We know that, right? It's a matter of time before we do this. And Mr. Mr. Sears, you're part of the green team. I don't know what stigma-free means, but I know what knocking down 300 grown trees would do to this town. And my understanding, you changed your vote from wanting to purchase it, now you're against purchasing it. So I don't understand how a member of the green team is in pursuit of changing the landscape of this town by knocking down 300 properties, 300 trees.
Mr. Scalia, could you just talk to me?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think it's very important that we really understand what we want to be as an organization and as a community. Do we want to be Westwood? Do we want to be Hillsdale? I don't. That's why I moved here. And I was supporting of building or support of buying the swim club. I remember when we had one of the members that didn't want to do it. And I spoke to members here and they urged me to call in. And I did call in and support. And we're doing the same thing for 450 Pascack. It's only a small piece of property that we have left in this town. So we have to really think about what the strategy is for this organization, for this town. Is it to develop every piece of land to put where we know we're going to have to expand Washington School? We are going to have to. Do we want to have houses overlooking our ball fields? Right? I think we really have to reevaluate what we're doing and what we want to be as a community. We've been talking about transparency. We've been talking to the mayor and to the board for almost 2 years. And we're really upset that decisions are being made behind closed doors. We're okay with changing your mind, but wouldn't you want to engage the people you've been dealing with and talking to, especially when you ask for our votes? And then you ask for our votes, and then you have a closed door meeting where you decide something different that you promised, not promised, that we discussed. I think we really need to look as a mayor and council of what is the strategy for this town. Now, I think the development on Pascack down by Seasons, something has to be done there. Now, I don't know what the right thing is, but something has to be done. And what's going to happen when the stores start moving out of the strip mall here and move over there? That's going to become vacant. And we already know the owner of that strip mall wants to put apartments or condos on top of that complex. Okay? We know there's plans for that. So are we going to allow, let's move stores to the other side of town, and then we'll have more condos or apartments on top of the food.
1 minute left, sir.
So I think we really need to decide what is the plan here. And I just think with 450, adding homes to a location where our kids play, and homes will be butting up. I don't know how would you put a road? It's 100 feet wide. And yes, 3 acres, 100 feet wide. A road has to be at least 30 yards. And the offsets have to be at least 15 to 20 yards. So are you going to have a home that's 30 feet by what, 100, 200? I think what we're doing does not make any sense. And I applaud the mayor if he thinks about purchasing 450. That's a great idea. But I would ask the council members that changed their minds to reconsider. I believe Ms. Morgan and Mrs. Sears are two individuals that may have changed their mind. And the courtesy to come talk to the members, I think that's at least the courtesy they should have done. So I want to thank you and look forward to, I volunteer with the football program. Please, we're going to this, hopefully going to the Super Bowl next game or two. So please continue supporting us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scalia. I'm going to comment. I would like you to know, and everyone here to know, that as always, I am still in support of purchasing 450. I've spoken to you directly. I've said it publicly, and I will say it publicly again. I am in full support of the mayor and the administration's plan to purchase 450 Pascack for the benefit, the long-term benefit of the town, and to preserve our town, because I really feel strongly everything you said is correct. It's next to the school, it's next to the field, it's only going to provide a benefit long-term. I hope my daughter, I grew up in this town, I hope my daughter has her kids here. Anybody else?
Just a quick question. We discussed this in closed session, and how did you find out the information on what our decisions were? Because in a closed session, we're there to talk, to look for options, not things to be made. So I want to know is, how did this get out of closed session? Because that's what closed session is, when you're in a litigation or when we discuss things, we look for options. People may say yes, but then there's another option that may come down. They may say no. So somebody's getting this information out, which is illegal to do when we're in a closed session. So they're jumping to conclusions, and we're still looking at answers.
And Mr. Sears, I agree with you. Everything that was said is in closed session. Somehow it got out of our closed session, and that's unacceptable. That's why we have closed sessions, because there's litigation. And it's not because of a lack of transparency on anything. This is how the government works. If we went out in the public on every decision we ever made, nothing would ever get done. And that's the way it is. So I'm going to ask right now for, invoke one of the powers of the council, for a special investigation to investigate why closed session material has been leaked from this council. Because it's totally wrong. Doesn't matter what your vote is or what your feelings are, there was a lot of things discussed at that session. So somehow information has gotten out. So I'm going to ask for a vote right now on invoking special investigatory powers on leak from that council meeting or meetings.
I second that motion because the gentleman here is upset. We're still discussing these things. So, and that's the problem. This is getting out and we're still looking at solutions, looking at odds, what's the best? Co-housing at the bottom.
Okay, hold on. The more you talk, the
You can't,
more.
you can't say that.
The
So
more you talk, the
I got a
more.
motion on the floor.
Yeah. I
Wait
second
1 second, I have one question. I have a question for you.
Okay, let me just say something.
Okay.
All right, so let me just clarify. So first of all, he does have a motion on the floor. There is a motion, there was a second. You have to take a vote on that first.
Correct.
Then I can comment on, what you're asking now, which I'll be happy to do.
Sure.
But the motion is to investigate information as a closed session being released from the closed session.
Being released. Somehow something got out somewhere.
Okay. So
Whether
that's
it's
the
whether it's
motion.
this case or some other thing we're working on.
Yeah.
Ken, you know how important it is to keep things in closed session, right? Because
Yeah,
that's what
no.
that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
Help us,
That's
right? And you would never,
Yeah,
ever,
right.
and I know you for a
Yeah.
long time, you would make sure stuff was not said that was supposed to be in closed session
That's right.
in a public session.
Right. And I'm going to explain something about that in a minute. But first,
Sure.
you have to take your vote on whether you want an investigation,
Sue, roll call.
which is one of your powers.
You ready?
Mhm.
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Dr. Cassie, I'll deal with that in terms of the investigation.
Sure, no
okay?
problem.
The motion's on, so, okay. But let me just explain a little, just to clarify something. So, if you recall, and I'm not going to go into a lot of things here because we can't really discuss a lot of the material, but because it is litigation, there was an approach of acquiring the property, and I'm not disclosing anything that's discussed, okay, in terms of options or anything like that. I'm just talking about the procedures that were followed. Everyone is aware that the town sought to purchase that property either by purchase or condemnation, okay? And condemnation is a litigation, and that litigation is discussed very often, and it's one of the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act, where things that have to do with litigation can be discussed in closed session. Has to do with a lot of things, strategies with respect to the other side, options that you may or may not have under law, all sorts of areas. So there's a lot of exploration that is involved in litigation. It's not just, okay, go sue and that's the end of it, okay? Dr. Cassio is correct that what was discussed in closed session is not supposed to come out because it is closed session. And what is discussed there is, 90% of what's discussed there never comes to fruition. It's discussion. So options and all things discussed are discussed in the context of litigation. How good is the case? How bad is the case? What would it might cost? What's the upside? There's a million things that have to do with litigation. So that's the context of why there is a closed session. It's not open season just to discuss things in private. It has to do with litigation. The negotiation or the relationship between the township and the owner of the property is still open, and there is a connection with respect to the condemnation, litigation, or purchase, whatever that was that started, that still is in existence. Nothing's been decided. I just want to kind of throw that out there, okay? Because decisions are actually going to be made, if decisions are made, they'll have to be made publicly. You can't make decisions and just do things secretly. You have to come out and make your decisions publicly. Discussions about litigation are permitted in closed session. Now, I did want to mention that there are people I can see on the dais that want to give their opinion of how they feel. That's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people, not wrong, you're supposed to have positions on things, and you are able to take positions publicly and say how you personally feel. But that's not the same as what the council is discussing, what the options are. Your view of how you feel about an issue is something that you can share if you choose to do so. So I just want to kind of lay that out there, okay? But it is important to understand that closed session is actually meant to protect the town and to give it the ability to deal with the other side better. It would be kind of a foolish situation if my adversary knows exactly what our thinking is, what we believe our positions are, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, what our options are. I mean, what's the sense of litigating if it's all out there? That's the purpose of keeping it in closed session. So just want to say that. Now, as far as the investigation is concerned, that is something I will take up, not tonight, but I have to,
Investigate.
get into that, okay? Yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Can I just make?
Yeah,
one-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Uzian, would you just mind waiting 1 minute?
Hold
Just
on,
wait-
hold
just
on
hold
a
on 1
second.
minute.
Just in response to Mr. Scalia. Yeah, I came for your vote and I still stand behind what I ran on, which is open space and more fields. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Stacy, may I make a quick comment?
Yeah, of course, yes.
I just want to reemphasize very quickly, anything that's done and closed, myself, the council, they're giving their opinions as facts are unfolding. To emphasize what the attorney said, no votes are officially taken and closed. It just can't happen. We bring things to a public vote once we feel that all the facts have been presented to us in closed, and then in open before we take the vote. So I don't want to lead, and nothing is done in closed that would be any type of an official vote that would bind the town or anything like that. Thank you.
Council, it was people's opinions of, they may be changing their opinions based on other decisions happening in the town.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Absolutely.
Got to lower it after, Joe. Mike Proto, 850 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I don't want to bore you by reiterating a lot of things Joe said that I agree with and he put forward so passionately. But again, I want to remind that the master plan is the promise of the town to maintain a residential character of the town. That plot of land is only for single family. And I'm concerned by a couple of things I just heard, which made it sound like there was a negotiation for something other than purchasing the property. And that's really the only negotiation that I can see that should be taking place right now. It's a matter of what's the price and how much do you want for it that you're willing to accept, or going to Plan B. And again, obviously we're concerned after over a year now, a lot of this going on behind closed doors. And I understand why, but we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's being proposed. I don't know. I mean, there's been some talk about houses. I don't know what the developer has in mind. I've seen what he's capable of, and that should concern all of us, because by no means should there be affordable housing on that plot of land. There's no room for it. And again, it's not zoned for that. But I'm a little concerned about what I'm hearing about what might be negotiated behind closed doors right now, other than the price. And I would like just to make sure I understand where all of you stand in terms of being in favor of acquiring the property still at this point. And if not, why not?
Well,
Well, you can give your opinion.
if you want, I mean, you can give your,
But
where you stand, but you just can't relay
Your
the reasons that are the matters that are discussed in closed session. I mean, if you're in favor, you're in favor, you're not in favor, you're not in favor, but you can't really go, I mean, what Daisy said is about as much as you can say. That's, otherwise you can't really get into the discussion.
And I gave my opinion also.
Yeah.
So would anybody, other council members like to give their opinion?
We're still in discussion in closed session, so right now, I'm open.
Still closed session.
Okay.
Right.
You can't go outside of that.
You still have some time, Mr. Roberto, if you'd like to come back
Yeah, I'm
up.
not sure if I got the answer as to going on record as to whether you're in favor of acquiring the property, and if not, why not?
If you want to answer. You don't have to answer, I'm just saying.
Mhm. I mean, Council Vice.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you the same answer I gave Mr. Scalia. I'm in favor of open space and fields. And because it is still in negotiations, that's where I'm going to leave my comment.
I'm of the same opinion as I've already stated. So. And the other council members are free to
They already said that.
express theirs if they're not going to.
So,
Or the mayor.
Oh, yes, Mr. Mayor, of course. I'm so sorry.
I let my opening statement stand for itself.
Anything else? Would anybody else like to come up? Yes. I'm sorry, Mr. Allman's going to come up. Sorry, he was behind you. No, go ahead. No, it's fine. Go ahead, Mr. Allman. Thank you. She just didn't see you, that's all.
Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue. The first thing I'd like to do is thank the mayor for providing multiple updates on the resurfacing of Clark Avenue. I am a little disappointed that the professionals in Suez or Viola are unable to identify what's causing the leak and what the remediation is and who's the responsible party, and that it won't be done this year, or it sounds like it may not be done this year, but thank you to Mayor Calamari. I did want to follow up on a question last week.
I'm sorry, if you can just keep the chatter, it's hard to hear. We're up here, so if you don't mind.
It was directed to Attorney Poller regarding in-person meetings. If he had spoken to anyone at the state in terms of being able to legislate attendance.
yeah, I did call somebody at DCA who I was directed to, had a lengthy discussion. And basically, they do not take a position about in-person meetings or not in-person meetings. There is an administrative code which was put out about how to do a meeting and what the requirements are. But the mandate of having a meeting, in-person meeting versus a remote meeting is not something that they get involved in.
So it could be done. They don't have an opinion.
The question was whether we could force them. They don't get involved with that. That's not their purview. They just make sure that there are regulations that, as COVID came in, how do you conduct a meeting? And it's not so much even the idea of in-person or not. What the main concern would be is the availability for the public. Public being participating in that. How could you have a meeting if the people aren't there and the Open Public Meetings Act and so on and so forth. So they go through a whole thing about making sure about notice. They go through requirements and things of that nature. But on the issue of can a council force the board to come and have an in-person meeting as opposed, and even though they don't want to, there's a pass that the state does not take a position on that.
So the fact that they don't take a position on it, does that mean the council can?
No, it means it falls back on whether whether I think, as a matter of law, that we have the authority to do it.
And what is your opinion?
I do not think we have the authority to legislate that the zoning board has to meet in person or the planning board has to meet in person.
And what about the council? Understanding that they still may be operating under Executive Order 107?
Yeah, the council is meeting.
I understand that, but they have the option to participate remotely. If they're not feeling well, they could call in.
Oh, you mean?
If they're traveling,
Oh.
can they travel overseas? Can they be outside the country?
I didn't realize that was part of your question. I thought it was more the issue of
Well,
the zoning board.
There's one question, and it begs follow-up questions, because the council has historically met in person, everyone. There was a time when a prior council member was traveling due to family issues, and Mr. Sears, Councilman Sears, Mayor Calamari didn't want to let him participate in the meetings and vote, and he didn't, so he only participated in the non-voting aspects of the meeting. These were budget meetings on a Saturday. And my question is, can people participate once the executive order ends?
Well, the executive order is still in effect.
I know, once it
So
ends.
I guess the question isn't right? I mean.
Sure it is.
Well,
It's going to end.
No, it's
I
going
hope.
to end, and we'll answer it when it ends, if we have to answer it. I mean, again, advisory opinions is not something that we're in the business of giving, okay?
A question on how road details are assigned, or road safety details, the police are assigned. What is that process?
I believe we would have to get that from the police department with the administrator, correct? That is handled internally with that. So I'll have to direct that question to the police department.
And the reason I'm asking is, over the summer, I was driving down Hoover Ave, which is not very well, it's not a busy thoroughfare. There was a single, I guess, Optimum or a vendor doing some pole work, and there was a police car behind them with its lights on. I'm assuming for safety.
Yes.
And then I see our DPW on Van Emberg, 4 or 5 guys in the leaves, trucks around them, 18-wheelers wheeling down Van Emberg, and there's not a safety vehicle around.
So you're asking in reference to our employees in town, not
Well,
necessarily
yeah.
vendors from out of town.
Well, it's a safety issue. I'm just giving 2 examples.
Okay.
So if it's a safety issue for one person in a cherry picker to have a police escort, shouldn't, because it's a safety concern, isn't it a safety concern that our DMF, or DPW, I guess they're called now, are working on, significant thoroughfares without that type of protection? And shouldn't they be afforded that protection of a police escort or a police car? So my question, that's the genesis of the question, is how is it assigned? Is it because someone pays for it, or is it because it's actually needed?
I'll have to defer to the administration on that. Mr. Giancarlo or Mr. Mayor, would you like to get back to Mr. Ullman on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Yes. No, there's nobody, there's Anthony. Yes, I confused Anthony and Mr. Burke. Yeah, sorry.
Can we comment on?
Oh, yes, I'm
Mr.
sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Ullman's comments?
Yes.
So in regard to talking about bringing the planning board and the zoning board back into public session in person or hybrid. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, because I'm trying to understand what you heard. You heard from the state that they're not going to, DCA's not going to take a position on it one way or the other, correct?
Correct.
So it's thrown back to the council of the council, meaning you, Ken, and you believe we cannot do it.
Right.
That's your legal opinion. Have you seen any precedents one way or the other to do it? Because again, that's your opinion, but we can, as a council, we can not take your opinion on that, right?
Well, it's
So-
true. You can always do what you like. You can
Right,
enact
exactly.
Ordinance.
So,
you know,
so my question to you is, have you seen anything
No, I've
one
not.
way or the other?
No,
written?
I've not seen any town pass any ordinance or
Right,
or
right.
resolution.
Nothing in the charter?
There's nothing in the charter, and to
So
be,
you-
yeah, go ahead. So I know you're thinking that because there's, they're not taking a position one way or the other. You know, which by the way, the state does a lot. They throw it back to the.
Exactly.
To the
So again, that's,
municipal
you're of the
right.
opinion that
Yeah.
it's not, there's no case law on it, right?
Well, it's not, no, it's not that, I don't take the position that you can't do it because there's no case law on it.
Right.
I take the position you can't do it because of the structure of the government, the statutes, the municipal land use law, as well as the Faulkner Act, as well as what's going on with the executive order and all of the things that go into
Okay.
all the, it's not just one thing. So, you know, and first, go ahead, I'll let you talk.
No, understood.
Yeah.
No, you can, you
But
can
I'll tell you
continue.
a little more. I'll say something else. I mean, you know, you want to pass an ordinance or a resolution. Well, I'm just saying if somebody wanted.
Yes, in that case.
Okay.
Yes. Not me.
So let's just take it to its logical conclusion. Okay?
Yes.
So you pass an ordinance or a resolution or whatever it is you think you can do, and it says zoning board or planning board, you have to meet in person. Okay, but they say we're not meeting in person.
Right.
Now, are you disenfranchising the zoning board or the planning board for hearing any applications? Are you now going to give them summonses because they're violating your ordinance of not showing up?
Right.
You know,
That's the other hand.
I mean, there's something else too. How about, you know, I know that there's a lot of people throw out there, well, you appoint them, so you control them. Okay?
That's true.
Council appoints them. Does the council control them? Not by a long shot. They're
Right.
not supposed to control them.
No, just
okay?
supposed to be appointed.
They're supposed to be appointed.
Free-minded
Right,
individual
right.
free will.
And in fact, the council, the government here appoints a lot of things they don't control. They appoint the municipal judge.
Right. Sure.
I don't think that anybody's saying that we can pass an ordinance saying when the judge can meet, or that he has to come to chambers,
Sure.
or that he has to do something, or what fines he has to get.
I'm not,
I'm just giving you an idea of
Sure.
why it is
Mhm.
that that there's no real
teeth to it.
effectiveness,
Mhm.
aside from the fact that I don't think it's legal anyway, and I think the court probably would overturn it.
Mhm.
But even if you wanted to say that you should do it, I'm taking the next step and saying, where's the enforcement of what you're doing?
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an ordinance-based question.
Yeah.
It was more of a resolution. We get so many papers for resolutions for stuff that don't even affect us. You know, we're passing a resolution to support some town on the border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey that wants to do X, Y, and Z. We do it all the time. We did it for the incineration station in Jersey City. And obviously it has no teeth, but it shows a willingness or a desire of the board, a council, to support something. That's all, okay? No teeth to it. Basically, worthless piece of paper, but it shows a desire of a sitting committee to approve something or be desirous or non-desirous of something. That's all my concern is. I mean, I would personally, okay? I would ask for a resolution, which has no teeth, and it's not enforceable, and we're not influencing either board to make any decision on anything, but we are requesting them.
You're expressing your opinion.
Yes, expressing an opinion that they should meet in a different format. That's all.
Okay.
That would be my desire to do.
Okay.
That's
all.
What's the downside?
I'm going to say that I have no issue with that
Okay,
because it doesn't violate anything that I'm looking at.
right, there's no violation, there's
No
no teeth.
violation.
We're asking kindly.
Yeah, you're not telling him, you're not looking to
penalize me.
influence decisions or anything of the kind. You're actually not even stepping into the interactions.
Right.
I mean, a resolution, if you wanted to pass I mean, I'm not saying you should do it.
Right.
Does it have any
Because-
merit?
But it has no teeth, but it's just a desire.
To me, it's like, I think that it's.
Because that's all resolutions
Yeah, I
are,
understand.
you know?
But does it have any merit? Is it enforceable?
It's not-
It's not enforceable. No resolution's
Just-
enforceable.
Just if you don't mind, if we pass a resolution, does it actually have any value that we can force them back into in person?
Zero.
No.
So the resolution has no value.
It has no enforceability.
So what's the point of passing the resolution?
I didn't make it up.
No, I'm asking you, I'm asking you from the resolution's perspective, even if we were to pass the resolution, it doesn't have any teeth. We can't force them to go back in person.
Exactly.
What's the value of the resolution?
Well, you have to ask the person who wants to pass. the
No,
resolution.
no, from what is it, what
I'm
is the?
saying, from a legal point of view, it has no effect
Okay.
whatsoever.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. It's a resolution, but it has no enforceability or.
So there's no point in passing one.
But from the community,
Position.
but if I may, from the community point of view, it's saying the council, that's us, see that there's a need for them to come back to public session. Obviously, we're listening to the voices of the people.
That's why I
So I kind of agree with Dr. Cassio that we can do that.
A bigger benefit is the budget that we were able to get for them to go to hybrid, just like we're in hybrid. That's a bigger benefit. And I believe, Mr. DeCarlo, have you provided that information to the two boards?
To the chairman of the zoning board of adjustments, yes.
Okay. I mean, and maybe we should wait to see what happens with that, since they now have that opportunity and they didn't have that budget or that opportunity before. Besides, I mean, if a resolution's not going to do anything, but providing them the budget for our hybrid is going to provide more. Let's use that first step to see what happens.
Do we have a personal budget for hybrid meetings?
It's
Is it
in our,
budgeted?
it's in our budget.
Is it in our budget for hybrid meetings?
The hyper meetings?
What's,
All you're paying for is Zoom. That's what you're doing for a hybrid meeting.
is it in the budget? Because I don't.
Well,
I don't
we're also
recall doing
paying
that.
the 300 per meeting that those boards don't currently.
Well,
And
no,
that factors
for
into the
us.
hybrid part.
No, but we need the
We
need the
need
300
it no
too.
matter what, right.
Right.
So you paid for us already. It's
Right.
separate.
Yeah, right.
So even if we
So-
get a hyper meeting, let's say, the board's gonna stay on TV and everybody here is gonna be in the council.
But the resolution is not going to force them back into person anyway.
I know.
Again, it's a desire, just like if that's the case, why do we ever have a resolution in our package? We know it doesn't do anything.
Right.
It's just a desire of the council.
Well, a lot of
That's
resolutions
not really
you pass
true.
have effect. You
Some-
can pass plenty of resolutions that have effect.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, you give refunds,
Well, yes,
you
you're
execute
correct. You're
contracts.
correct.
I mean, you do a million
but I'm,
things.
I'm, I'm,
Please, one at a
let me backtrack.
Yeah.
A lot of resolutions we get in our packet are for those same things that we just talked about, like, supporting the green thing. So that's expressing a value or an opinion. That's all.
Yes.
So that's all I have to ask. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Stacy, may I make a quick comment?
Absolutely.
I'll keep it brief.
Sure.
To answer Mr. Or not that it was a question, but I do remember that Mr. Ullman, when a council member wanted to participate in a meeting via phone. However, that was pre-pandemic. There was no executive order in place allowing for that. Now there is an executive order in place, and just like the council can decide when they want to go back, I believe the boards can decide when they want to go back under that executive order. Once that executive order ends, the choice is gone. They must come back. And I think it was just said with resolutions a little bit, they are worth something, because even the one that Councilman Cassio referenced in Jersey City about that plant, we are expressing an opinion. We want someone, we're trying to influence something with that resolution. It goes to wherever it would go. They don't have to read it or anything, but we're expressing an opinion. And so, again, it's just my opinion. I don't think we should express to the board any type of even an opinion, because the council appoints that board. And so I'll go out on a limb and say the board members could take it as threatening that if they don't agree to it, they may not be reappointed. And so I would find that a bit of a conflict.
Thank you. Just so you know, after this, we're going to take, there was a request from the council to take a 5-minute break. And then when we return, we're going to do a swearing in that was from the beginning of the meeting. Just so when we are,
After we close the public portion.
If we close
after we close public.
Yeah, public.
Okay, I guess we're going to wait till after we close public.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anthony Udina, 876 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I forgot what I was going to talk about, but.
Well, thanks for coming.
So I support and I'm in favor of preserving 450 Pascack. That's why a lot of us are here. And basically, thank you to those that have expressed their feelings, how they feel towards 450 Pascack. I understand you want facts and information and that you get in closed session to make a smart decision. And that's your stance based on 450 Pascack. But to know how you feel about it is a nice thing. Feelings are a little different than, getting facts and stuff like that. Do you basically, Mr. Scalia talked about children's privacy and right on top of the school. And I already know you all are in favor of that. I don't need to know how you feel about that, but like preserving trees. Mr. Sears in January of last year presented a canopy report, and it's very informative. I watched it a couple times. It goes over all the benefits of tree canopy preservation, keeping it, not letting it go. You said, the town's on a dangerous path because it decreased by about 25%, I believe.
Yep.
It's stuff like that. How do you feel about that? Do you want to preserve those trees? Do you want, storm drainage and stuff like that? We have concrete examples of what happens when things go bad with like storm drainage. Washington School flooded. Earlier, this year, some guy talked about the lake, how they have problems over there. A huge building in that space over there, I think it was like 20-something thousand square feet. That's going to impact storm drainage. What do you feel about that? How do you not like it or anything like that? Basically, I'm not asking for anything that was said in closed session, facts or anything like that, but, what are your feelings on it? If anybody can provide that hasn't already. Yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
Would anybody like to respond?
If I may.
Of course.
The reason why we discuss these things in closed sessions and we don't give our opinion out right away is that gives an advantage to the property owners. So if I was to say something, that may give them a lead.
Make it an edge.
Exactly. So the smartest thing to do is what we do in closed session. We look at the options, we look at the angles, we talk among ourselves, we say yes here, no there. But until we get all the information, I don't want to put anything out that's going to give them an edge. That's why I'm not saying anything because of the closed session. But yes, I did give that report. I did give the canopy report, and you mentioned it, and you're right on target with it. But I'm not giving an edge out. That's why we have the closed session.
Okay.
Yeah.
As for votes on it, that does not get done in closed session, correct?
Right, action that's going to be
Any
taken.
action, you will go back into open session.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a public discussion portion?
Well, the public always has an input because there's always a public portion in every meeting.
So like if you come out in open and say, we're going to do a vote.
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't, okay. It's not like a hearing, like a zoning board hearing where the application is put out there and stuff like that. If they have decided or they want to bring something out and make a decision, they can have discussion. They don't have to have discussion. I mean, they can do what they pretty much,
okay,
want to do type thing. For example, and I'm just saying, it's not this property, but I mean, in other properties, I mean, the swim club is a perfect example. So after the decision was made to, okay, let's see if we can move ahead on the swim club, they came out, they had to pass a bonding ordinance. There was a hearing on the bonding ordinance. They had to approve the contract in public, that kind of thing. So all that kind of stuff that happens, it's in public. The action is taken in public. I hope it helps.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to take a, okay. No problem.
Laura Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East, and I would like to thank everybody that is in support of purchasing 450 Pascack. And I also want to say to Mr. Sears, I really appreciate your support in past years. I know with the canopy analysis, also you coming to the property with Janet Sokolowitz and Anthony, being in our yards, counting the trees, supporting the landscape that we've had for 100+ years. I have some pictures I just want to leave with you. There's 2 sets here, and it shows the canopy from looking at it from the school, not from my side. And I can't even tell you, the elevation is high. As Anthony said, I don't want to repeat everything that Joe and Mike and Anthony said. The elevation is high. If a property goes on there, the water that's going to come down on our homes, it's just for what, right? I mean, this is the little bit of open space that we have left, and this is like a gift from God, and for it to be ripped down is just a shame. So, Mr. Sears, I know that you're head of the green team. I could only hope that you could support all of these beautiful trees that are on this property. Okay.
Thank you. I will get these copied and distributed.
There's two copies.
Yeah, I'll get them scanned in and sent out in an email. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, we are going, the public session is going to remain open while we just take a 5-minute break. Okay, so if you have something else to say, please don't leave it. It's only going to be, please adhere to 5 minutes. Tom asked for.
No, we can go on.
Oh, you
at
can
the
go,
end
oh,
of-
you
at the
want,
end.
okay. All right, so would anybody else like to come up? You asked for 5 minutes, I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah, no,
wanted.
at the end.
Would anybody else like to come up? If not, I'm going to, is there anybody online? Yes, there's somebody online.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Diane Grimaldi, 441 Van Emberg Avenue.
Yes, Ms. Grimaldi, what can we do for you?
Hello, I just want to first comment on the zoning and planning board meetings. I had taken some time the other night to see who is doing virtual as opposed to in-person meetings. And in our surrounding area, as far as all the towns I looked at, Hillsdale, Paramus, Westwood, Woodcliff Lake, Rivervale, Hohokus, Ridgewood, Park Ridge, New Milford, Oradell, Emerson, Dumont, Bergenfield, Montvale, and Waldwick are all back in person. The only 2 remote are Washington Township and River Edge. Those are all the towns I looked at on their website. And I also I would like to see them back in person. There was an attorney in one of the zoning board meetings that said that no one can testify unless they were on camera for legal reasons. And I know that some residents have problems with their cameras. Some of the attorneys, some of the presenters have problems in sharing their screens. And I think going back in person is a wonderful thing. That's what I want to say about that. Also, I have a question about something that Mayor Calamari said, I believe in his opening comments. He had mentioned that he wanted to use the open space grant money, I believe, to purchase 450 Pascack Road. And I wonder where that leaves us, how he proposes to do that, if he wants to transfer the money and transfer the whole application to 450, leaving the swim club open to possibility of being used for the new DPW. That confused me very much. And I'd just like an explanation about that. And those are my questions.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that question. I'll be happy to answer it. The restrictions stay with the property that the grant was issued for. So there would be nothing to be done at the swim club because that's where the restrictions are. And so, I won't get into the true financial part of when the grant comes in, shifting it over to another property. Yeah, I'm just saying, if we're lucky enough to get the grant money, which like we will, I would just like to see that repurposed into buying another property that we could keep as open space. So it was as simple as that. I'll say with all due politeness, don't read too much into my comment because I don't know the particulars about how it would work, but I personally would like to see that money repurposed into another property purchase that we could keep as open space.
But you would not use the swim club, there's no possible way to use the swim club as a DPW.
Yes, when we get that grant, that restriction stays with the property.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else, Mrs. Grimaldi?
No, thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Anybody else? Who was there? Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Otherwise, I'm going to close the public comment portion. Last chance? Okay, motion to close?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Rich, 5 minutes, okay? Okay.
Hold on, no, I did you my thing.
Recording in progress.
Not me. Okay, where am I? Oh, right, okay. Mayor, you have an appointment.
I do.
Okay. You're up.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's always a pleasure to do these swearing in. Shows our department is, growing, and that's always a great thing. So I lose track. Rich, you want to say a few words before I do the swearing in? I just lose track. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really do want to thank the council for your patience tonight. We normally do this at the beginning of the council meeting, but we did have a PBA awards tonight, and we came straight after that. Just real briefly, I did want to acknowledge our officers that received awards tonight. Police Officer Corporal Michael Ferraini got an Exceptional Duty Award tonight for his work at a homicide that took place last year. Mike was first on scene, and essentially Mike managed at the same time he was to render aid to the victim. He was also subduing the actor in this case. Actor is a word that we use, it really means perpetrator. Mike was then assisted by several other officers, but I just did want to acknowledge Mike's exceptional work on that. Also an apprehension award for Police Officer Clayton Kenny, who is here tonight to support Ian. We had a car burglary, the attempted car burglary in town. It took place after several car burglaries in Saddle River. And then this person ended up in Paramus breaking into a house. He fled. He was chased by several towns. Luckily, Clay, being a local officer, knew the lay of the land, and he was able to find this suspect hiding in the bushes along the Garden State Parkway. I know that Councilwoman Velez had mentioned a couple of the words already, but I did want to say that Corporal Travis Cangelosi, who's also here, received a Community Service Award for his work on the Ukrainian Drive, and I believe that Councilwoman Velez was very humble. She also received the award from the PBA for her work along with Travis on that Ukrainian donation drive. Police Officer Mike Sinatra and Police Officer Chris Ozenbrook, who are on duty in the back right now, they did receive a CPR Save Award. And then last but not least, again, Ozenbrook and Sinatra, along with Sergeant Rich Parcells, had what was a very personal save to our entire police department. Back in January, as most of you know, one of our detectives, Jason Guger, suffered a heart attack at his home. It's a still rough one for me to talk about because I got there eventually in the middle of it. But Jason is alive and well today because those officers, the two guys standing up in the back and Rich Parcells, literally saved his life. He was defibrillated 3 times. I went to the hospital with his wife, and while we were there, there were 2 more codes at the hospital. I'm happy to say that Jason is alive and well, and he is healthy, and he's back to work, and he's doing a great job. So, my heart goes out to Jay's family. They're very happy, and I'd like to thank the officers who saved his life. I'll leave it at that. I'm very happy tonight to introduce you to our newest police officer, Ian O'Hanlon. We call this a swearing in. Technically, Ian was actually sworn in right before he went to his SLEO 2 Academy update, and I'll explain that to you. So Ian's from Emerson. He's a graduate of Emerson High School, where he excelled in football and track. If you look at him, you can tell why. Ian has a bachelor's degree from Ramapo University in sociology and criminal justice. He started his career with the Point Pleasant Beach Police Department as a SLEO 2. If you don't know what SLEO 2 is, basically those are the officers you see at the shore that carry guns. They don't quite have full police power, and they work at a lot of the shore towns in the summer. We were able to hire Ian ourselves this spring, and he really did a fantastic job for us. We were trying to find a home for Ian, and then we did have an announcement that we'll have an officer retiring early next year. So we were able to get Ian into the class. And on October 28th, he graduated what they call the SLEO 2 waiver class, which makes him now a full-fledged police officer. And Ian has already jumped into our community policing efforts. He did the law enforcement torch run, I think in the fastest time that any of us have ever run that run. And you can tell he's very into physical fitness. He enjoys spending time with his family, and he very much enjoys being part of this community and being involved in community policing. So at this time, I would ask Mayor Calamari to swear him in, and I'd love Ian's family to come on up, hold the Bible, and stand with Ian.
Left hand on the Bible, right hand in the air. I Go ahead.
Ian O'Hanlon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I do solemnly swear
and that I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform
all the duties of probationary police officer of the police department
in the Township of Washington,
in the Township of Washington,
in the County of Bergen,
in the County of Bergen,
in the State of New Jersey,
in the State of New Jersey,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations to you.
Just wanted to thank the council again for your time, for your continued support, so we can hire these police officers and keep our citizens safe. Thank you. It's also nice to hire the young ones that can run real fast.
Thank you, Chief. Thank everyone from the department for coming.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Here, it's. I already gave you that bowl, so you have to pray for me double. Okay, now what?
You want it all?
No, I'm okay for now. If I get more,
You what? What? So what? Sorry. Yeah, of course. But I have lots. Would you like one?
Lose a couple pounds up here.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
You okay?
I'm fine. Thank you.
What is it?
Butterscotch.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else?
What's that?
I'm fine, thank you.
Butterscotch?
Butterscotch?
Butterscotch ice cream?
No, well, yeah, in my
You
mouth.
the sweet.
Yeah. I have, well, no, I have more, actually. I do have more. You can't really get them around here. I have to get them. No Malamar, sorry. What?
And that chocolate's packed with food. And that's
Here, pass down some.
We're not talking about strawberries.
You know, we are recording everybody.
I'm sure they'd like to know our Malamar tricks, so I think it's fine. Malamar's in the freezer.
Yeah. The best thing they call.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Thanks.
Okay.
Here you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, absolutely.
Okay. Moving right along, people.
Okay. I did figure out where we left off, so we're good.
Ordinances.
Ordinance number 22-22, bond ordinance appropriating $875,000 and authorizing the issuance of $833,000 in bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen, New Jersey. Resolution number 22-362, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 22-22. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Okay, public, and just so you know, after the next,
Excuse me.
Recuse.
Councilman Sears, would you like to change your vote?
Depending on, well, again, I'm.
Yeah, okay.
Just say recuse.
I am going to, at this time, recuse myself from this.
Right.
Until the vote.
Okay. So Councilman Sears changes his vote to recuse. Okay. Would anybody like to come up? Anybody online? Nope. Motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second? All second? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Tom seconded?
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a roll call. So sorry.
Roll call.
I'm reading the wrong.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 22-22 at second reading by title. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Sir.
Oh.
Don't get involved.
No, just look at it.
No, just no. Just say no.
Just Rick,
No, just don't say.
Rick.
Yeah,
Okay, so Daisy seconded.
Oh, okay, I forgot
Okay.
it was attached to this. Sorry about that.
Okay, discussion. Would anybody like to discuss?
These are all things that we already talked about and we approved, right?
Yes.
At length. So
Yes.
at
Yes,
this point,
during the budget process.
during the budget process, you
Correct.
know, not that everyone voted yes on it, but it was approved by the majority of the council, so.
That's a good
That's
point.
correct.
Most of the council did vote yes. We did have 5 votes for a lot of these things. So it looks like it's the Scott packs for the fire department, the fingerprint system and other equipment used by the police department, backhoe and salt spreaders.
May I ask a question, Council Vice President?
Sure.
Whether this is in the bond for the fire department or with the police, why do I have to recuse myself since it's mixed in with the bond?
Mr. Pollard, I'm sure that's your wheelhouse.
You don't have to.
It's a question, but I would say that to be safe, you should recuse yourself because it has to do with the fire department, you know. So that's just the right thing to do.
But everything, Mr. Pollard?
We're not
Well,
voting on
it's all
individual.
combined, right? What's it supposed to do? I accuse myself on this, but on the other word that doesn't appear. So,
And these were all things that were discussed in the capital portion of the budget.
so my question is being four votes.
Well,
No.
we'll have to take, no,
No.
Because
we need 4 for a bond. But even if we,
Maybe four.
So why don't you just table it?
yeah, well, but just,
Should we take, well, what do you do, Mr. Pollard? Do they take
no, if we
that?
turn it down and we don't table it, we have to
No.
We can
Yeah.
table
What
it.
do we do?
No, I don't think that's, no, I think.
can we finish our
May I have
thoughts?
a minute to talk to the town attorney?
Well, yeah, he is. He's letting us know that you could talk to the town attorney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we discuss an issue outside? If that's permissible?
No, it's not actually.
Well, you know where I'm coming from on this.
Yeah, but,
Your opinion?
yeah, I mean,
Should I recuse or could I vote?
look, there's a statute that talks about being a volunteer fireman And when there's something having to do with the department. Like
I only thought that was with, when we do the, budget.
No,
Because I know the ordinance, you gave me that ordinance,
It's a statute.
the statute of statute, yeah.
I think he just needs a minute. Just give Ken a minute.
It's unfortunate that the other council person's not here.
It's the best thing, because if you do it this way, if we go ahead and vote, I know there's gonna be an issue. And we don't want that. We don't want to put anyone in a bad light. So I would suggest that we table it until Ms. Morgan comes back. I mean, there's no time frame for this, right? Is there a time? I'll ask the administrator, is there a time frame that needs to be done?
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, do you know,
Pete?
since you were probably dealing with this before the administrator started?
Let me say, from a legal perspective, I do not. Most of these projects are already underway. This gives authorization, I believe, for the CFO to either bond or ban this. So I'm not sure where the money will come from, but it's waited this long. So again, my non-legal opinion is it's waited this long. It can probably wait another meeting.
So I'm going to make a motion to table it. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
It's got to table. It's got to be tabled.
All in, do we need a roll or not?
Take a roll.
Take a roll. You'd like to take a roll?
All right, so you motioned and Councilman Cassio second
The table.
to table.
Table.
It's like they just keep refusing, Tom.
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
To postpone it?
to table.
Yeah, recuse.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeny.
Yes. Okay, can you please add this to the December 5th? December 5th is the next meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the sixth, I think.
Yeah,
It's the sixth.
okay.
That's next.
Turn their mics back on.
That's exactly what I just saw, Mr. WCTV.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the message. It's on.
There we go.
So 22-22, and I don't have to re-advertise, Mr. Pollak?
You're just tabling the motion. You're not doing
Gotcha.
anything but tabling the motion. Tabling
The
the
vote?
vote. You had your public hearing.
Mm-hmm. So we're just doing a motion to adopt on that,
Yes, please.
correct?
Yes.
Council
Right.
Vice President, may I ask the attorney a question?
Of
And
course.
I'm sorry, it's a what-if question, but I think the council should know if it's going to be tabled. If a council member recuses, bottom line is, what happens if this doesn't pass, even though it was voted on in the budget and it passed as part of the budget process?
I mean, that's nothing for me to answer now. I mean, what happens?
Well, I think the council should know that because it might influence how they choose to vote.
Okay, but.
I'm not saying you have the answer
Yeah,
right
but
now.
I don't have the answer,
Right.
but
But I,
recusal is a different issue in any event.
okay.
I mean, if it turns out that there is a conflict and you're not supposed to vote, just because there's consequences, that doesn't mean you say, well, then I'll.
Oh, I wasn't, I meant more for the
I don't
other
think
council
that's what he
members
said.
who would not be
Oh,
recusing.
okay.
It may change how they want to vote.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So what does happen? So say we have the full.
I just said,
calendar.
I'm not answering that.
No, no,
Let
the
it, let
second
it
part
happen and then we'll decide
No,
then.
the second part was what, in general, he was saying, what happens if it doesn't pass?
I am not going to give you an answer right now.
Okay,
All right?
okay.
Yeah, I preface this as a what if, so I wasn't necessarily expecting an answer, but it was more to plant the seed.
Okay. Ordinance number 22-23, ordinance providing for the improvement of Lafayette Road in and by the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, and appropriating $211,000, therefore constituting proceeds of a grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Resolution number 22-363, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance number 22-23. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Would anybody like to come up regarding resolution number 22-363? Anybody online?
Motion to close.
Yes, motion to close public hearing for ordinance 22-23.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes.
Sorry.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 22-23 at second reading by title.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. An ordinance number 22-24, an ordinance changing certain fees for the lacrosse programs within the township recreation programs. Resolution number 22-364, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 22-24. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Would anybody like to come up and speak regarding resolution number 22-364? Anybody online?
Done.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing for ordinance 22-24. May I have a second?
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 22-24 at second reading by title. Make a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio. This is the cross.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Introduction, first reading, none. Individual resolution. Resolution number 22-375, 2022, transfer of appropriations. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Why are we shorting those lines? Mr. Mayor, what happened?
I'll allow the administrator to speak since he has the more day-to-day on the lines.
Okay.
I did jot down some notes for some of the accounts that had some, we're transferring the money out of. And transferring
Mark,
the
can
money
you
in.
speak up a little bit? Can't hear you at this end.
Yep, I have some notes. Was there anything specific, or did you want me to go over each line?
Could you do each line just so I have a
Okay.
clear understanding where we have shortcomings?
Yes.
Thank you.
On police salaries, other than the chief, we had extra money due to not hiring additional officers
All right.
for this year. Police miscellaneous, there's just anticipated that they're not going to need that additional $5,000 that we'd be
Okay.
taking. Police vehicle leasing, they did not lease an additional vehicle this year, so they only have one leasing payment left. DPW permanent employees, not superintendent. That is because one employee was promoted and one employee resigned during the year. That would give us the extra. Uniform construction code was the overlap of two employees. One was resigning while one started, so there wouldn't be a backup of work. Uniform construction code miscellaneous. They were planning on renovating the office and that was not done. That money was not needed. Zoning office board, budgeted for more hours for full-time, what I believe was supposed to be a full-time, and that employee is not full-time this year. Zoning office and board, other expenses, need money due to additional attorney fees. Planning department, budgeted for more hours for the township attorney that weren't needed. Planning board department, legal services was basically the same explanation. Admin training, I do not plan on utilizing that since I just started in August. Admin IT services, there was additional 2 hard drives were rebuilt this year, and there was a log me in service that was approximately $2,500 for the year. So there was additional money that's going to need to be paid to get us through the rest of the year for the months that we haven't paid yet. Administrative floater positional, additional hours in the tax department. Texas, I'm sorry.
Okay, that one, I'm going to need some more information, not tonight, but when you get a chance.
Okay, yes, sir. Tax assessor's clerk, that position is no longer, so it's not needed. Let's see here, financial tax assessor miscellaneous. Again, just going over the budget with the tax assessor. It's not needed according to the assessor. Department of Law, the full amount is not needed. We did leave a buffer in there after speaking with Mr. Pollard. COA fees, again, also speaking with Mr. Pollard, that $5,000 will not be needed. We did leave some in there though, however. Municipal court administrator, that money, it was implemented, we implemented the shared services, which I believe is settled with it. Yeah. Let's see. Public affairs, salary, wages, event coordinators. They started halfway through the year, so we didn't need the full year salary. DCRP pension, there was more part-timers than expected, I believe. Let's see here. The state expenditures, FICA and Medicare, it was underestimated, most likely due to our summer rec. Department of Engineering, other expenses, just, it was a busy year. There was more projects in this year. Vehicle maintenance, other expenses is due to DPW, just the vehicles, it's really unanticipated way to figure that out, so.
Just repairs.
Yeah. And they're garbage trucks, most of it, so it was big repairs.
Sure.
We're still waiting on the two new, right?
No, we did receive the two new
We
ones.
did.
The only one that's out is a significant repair.
Okay,
It's like $16,000.
okay.
So-
Are you going to be looking
We-
to replace that for capital for next year, you think? Or
No,
you're gonna-
I don't think so.
No, okay.
No, in preliminary talks with the DPW on budget,
Okay,
no. And that'll be, they have 5,
okay,
so we're running with 4 right now.
okay.
Gasoline and diesel, that probably goes without explanation.
Self-explanatory.
Yes, sir. Maintenance of parks, you know what, that's the only one I don't have a good answer for.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. Apologize for that. Telephone, the best answer I can give is most likely just under budgeted for. We just need to pay November and December's bill. Community Service Act, we had additional money that was needed. That line is to pay the street lights and the hydrants is under budget. We only need to pay November, December, so we had money to transfer out. Water, there is an additional charge now being charged to us by Veolia. I have a message out to our representative to speak with them. Our QPA did kind of reach customer service and we didn't get the answer that we kind of were satisfied with.
Okay.
So I'm going to be speaking with
Is it
John.
because we're using too much? We underestimated? What
No,
was
I don't want to misspeak and give you something that's
It's kind of a new
misrepresented.
fixed charge that they've just put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, if you can get that information.
Yes, of course. And there was the leak at the, I think it was Memorial Field. I don't think that's accounting for a lot of it, but speaking with DPW, even though it was a drought, he conveyed to me that they weren't watering the fields more than they were in the past.
Okay. Those are metered, right? Those fields?
Memorial's the well. but all
Right,
the
the
others
well,
are.
that's what I'm saying. That.
Yeah.
Let's see, streetlights and traffic controls. Again, there's an increase in utility fees, and it also looks like we may have used all of 22 funds to pay part, the bill goes from like the middle of the month to the middle of the month. And reviewing that, what's next? Gas, natural, again, I think it goes without speaking, just
Unexplained.
increasing costs. And then the firehouse electricity is because we are paying bills for both buildings
Gotcha.
out of the same line. That's
Okay.
why they're both still running.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Well, excuse me, what was the one that you wanted to have additional on?
Maintenance parks.
Yeah,
No, but there's another one, I thought.
It was
There's no
the
charge?
admin floater.
yeah, the floater.
Oh, admin.
Yeah, floater.
So it's admin floater.
Yeah, for 1,300.
And what was the other? Admin floater? Parks.
Yeah.
Those are the two
Water.
big, those are the two
Water.
big ones in the water.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So 1,300 for the admin floater?
Mhm.
It's pretty good, 1% of our budget. Okay, Sue, roll call. Anybody have any questions on it? Mr. Pollard, do you have any questions?
Councilman Capio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Feeney.
Yes. Resolutions and consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Would anybody like to have any of these lovely items removed? I know. It's late.
Okay.
No? Okay. Resolution number 22-365, authorized payment of bills October 14th, 2022 to November 3rd, 2022. Resolution number 22-366, authorized submission of BCCDG application for year 2023 through 2024 in the amount of approximately $124,334. ADA improvements to the Township Public Library. Resolution number 22-367, authorize approval of change order number 1, improvements to Ridgewood Road, Hudson Avenue, Bridge Street, Municipal Complex Parking Lot, and 2021 Road Improvements Program, reduction in the amount of $148,602.07. Resolution number 22-368, authorize refund to insurance auto auctions in the amount not to exceed $3,056.16. Resolution number 22-369, authorize tax collector to cancel any current tax liability and future property tax bills and refund overpayments in the amount not to exceed $3,432.48 for Block 2303, Lot 27. Resolution number 22-370, authorize refund of engineering escrow monies, Block 4318, Lot 32, 411 Howard Street, in the amount not to exceed $935. Resolution number 22-371, authorized refund of escrow monies, Block 4413, Lot 16, 253 Fern Street, in the amount not to exceed $31.25. Resolution number 22-372, authorized refund of soil escrow monies, Block 4403, Lot 27, 273 Colonial Boulevard, in the amount not to exceed $116.75. Resolution number 22-373, authorized submission of municipal alliance grant for fiscal year 2024. Resolution number 22-374, authorized appointment of municipal stormwater coordinator. Resolution number 22-376, authorized extension of opportunities for restaurants, bars, distilleries, and breweries to adjust operations in response to COVID-19 public health emergency through expanded outdoor dining pursuant to law. Motion to approve consent agenda resolutions. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjournment to conference agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wait,
I don't know where that is.
I don't know where that either. That's a Tom. I'm going to remove, okay, so let's just go. File up comments, Clark Avenue. Mr. DiCarlo?
Yes. The reason Clark Avenue was in question was due to the water leak, or the presence of water on the street that appears to be coming from underground. Approximately 2 weeks ago, I met the representative from the water company there while they were droning. You just have to take my word on it. There was a drone that was conducting thermal imaging of, the underground pipes. And according to the water company, they felt the results of that it is not coming from their responsibility. They also did sample testing of the water, and they also did an on-site inspection. So based on those three things, they're stating that it is not their responsibility. So in order for us to address it correctly, we're going to put off the repaving until next year's program, and a different street of similar size and distance has been selected, which is Pershing from between President and Honeysuckle.
So is the plan then before you're going to investigate, the engineer's going to go look, go Boswell? What's the?
Yes, I think there's already a preliminary plan with the contractor to do the repaving, to do some underground drainage. And it does seem like more water presents itself after a heavy rain.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
This is opposite Clark, right?
This is on
It's on Clark.
But yeah,
Right down.
if I go back
It's from Mike's house.
several years when what Gemlin was building that big mausoleum building up there, that's the only way I can describe it.
That's one way to do
There
it.
was water that was constantly coming down from that, and they altered some pipes in that area.
Well, that's why the driveway collapsed.
Yeah. So
But
I'm wondering,
that's too far down. It's more like,
yeah, but it doesn't mean it can't flow, flow
That's really
in that
far,
direction.
that's far in distance though, it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, that does pitch that way though.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything runs to Mike's house.
So and the only thing I would request is just keep Mr. Ullman abreast of what's going on.
Yes.
We have been, I believe he concurs.
Did they have any idea what it might be other than their
You
piping?
need to talk up, Mr. Councilman
Did they have any idea what they might think it might be other than just runoff?
The only other option that anyone's considering is groundwater.
Groundwater, okay.
Anybody else? So sign ordinance revision, I have not completed that, so unless.
You're skipping over me.
Oh, sorry, I guess I don't have the, am I in the wrong one?
Big moment.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a little mixed up here. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't like.
I'm letting you know.
Can we get the new paperwork in a different color? So we know which is the updated one.
Thank you. Okay, DPW facility. WCTV, I believe the mayor is going to move to the visual aids.
Yes, correct. For our one member of the public, but also for anyone who might watch it at a later date, I'll come down. First off, let me apologize to the council that I did not get them these drawings sooner. I thought when I had sent them to the printer to be blown up, that I had sent them to Sue at the same time. But then upon further checking, I realized I did not do it at the same time, so my apologies. I'll start with the site plan. As you can see, the ambulance building has been removed, which will allow for much more parking, which again, I made reference in my monthly report. Anyone who came to vote yesterday, understands the need for how valuable every space is here. So this, I didn't do the count of how many spaces it adds, but it does add quite a few. And in checking with the departments and checking with the architect, we really can't repurpose the existing ambulance building for anything that would suit the town's interests. So we'll pick up more parking. To the cost estimates, the architect has now weighed in based on a metal building, which he estimates at $325 a square foot. So at the proposed square footage, it comes out to 3.2 million. Every other price has stayed the same. And based on a masonry building, his estimate is $375 a square foot for just over 3.7 million. As I said in my monthly report also, New Milford was the one town who responded. They were, I don't know where they were told or anything, but they responded that a metal building life expectancy is about 30 years. masonry building, as we know from our new emergency services building. We're hoping to get at least double that out of it. So to the extent that my opinion matters, I'd rather see us spend an extra $500,000 to go with the masonry building. And that way we know it's going to last much longer than a steel building. So happy to answer any questions from the council, but those are the new numbers and the new site plan.
What's the life expectancy difference between the metal building and the masonry building?
Like I said, probably at least double, because they got an estimate of 30 years. And we all know, even with the new emergency services building, that has been pegged to last 50, 60 years.
Council.
Yeah, go ahead, absolutely.
I kind of agree with the mayor about going with
Masonry.
long-term building construction.
Yeah.
We know what the weather conditions are around here. If they're only guaranteeing 30 years, we need to go look forward past 30 years.
I agree.
Yeah, because also in 30 years from now, when it would be time to replace that, one can only guess what the cost will be to replace it in 30 years.
Probably twice the price.
I would hazard a guess that you are correct. Yes, to the extent my crystal ball is working. The architect, has said now that we've gotten to this point, he's happy to come to our next meeting to answer any further questions.
That would be great.
So he's happy to do so. But let me just again ask that, maybe after that meeting, assuming nothing comes up, that we put this up for a vote. I would like to get our DPW a more permanent home that they deserve to operate out of. They've been very patient operating out of temporary since we had to take the old building down to remediate the soil. But they deserve a permanent home like every other employee has.
Council,
Yeah, go ahead.
President, this is a two-story building, correct?
It's a two-story building, correct?
Thank you.
Yep.
So I think the appropriate question then, based on what the mayor is asking, and it's so the renderings from the previous meeting, the frontage, the design still stands. Does anybody have any further instructions for the mayor to give to the architects in order for him to attend the next meeting, or other
Yeah, obviously, if you know questions, and that way I'm sure he would have the answer, as opposed to you asking a question at the next meeting he may not be able to answer. So
Yeah, or
anything we
design
get him ahead of
suggestions.
time is always better.
Would we be considering solar power, solar lighting? Because the state does give a lot of money for installing that. This is a flat top roof?
I believe it is a flat roof, and so I would certainly ask the architect that question. I apologize, it just hasn't come up with my discussions with him so far.
Thank you.
May I
Yep.
ask a question? On the site plan, I know this has been discussed in the past, but just want to double check. Where it says containers and equipment, that's where to the left of the building, that is where some of that extra recycling.
Yes, that is
Yes, hold on.
anticipated to have room for a styrofoam recycling, an e-cycle, oil disposal, which we no longer offer the residents, just to name a few. I mean, those are the ones that are coming to mind immediately.
Okay, because as you know, we've been working on the book donation bin.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a home has been a little bit of a challenge these days.
Yes.
So that would fit right in with that space.
I
You can
believe-
give me a 5x5.
I agree. Anything else?
Does anybody have any more site plan or design recommendations before the mayor has the architect come in? Are we good, or is the council good to move forward with the numbers we see on paper, the estimates and the proposed design?
And just as a reminder, because it's been about 3 hours since I gave my monthly report, the DPW, they do feel they can do the salt dome in-house for about half the price of what the architect has allocated here.
Why is that?
Because they did the structures that are out there now, and so they feel it is within their scope and expertise to create a new salt dome.
Okay, and the gentlemen are happy with what has been presented today, I assume?
They are.
Yeah, that was my other question. So the DPW has been fully involved in the planning for what is currently being presented.
I mean, I won't say the whole department, but certainly the senior staff.
Okay.
Yes.
And they feel that this sizing and layout will fit to their needs for what will fit in the space.
For many years to come, they feel yes.
So I would like a yes or a no from the council to see if we should move forward, or there's additional designs that need to be presented before we move to like the next.
Well, I'm a yes. Go
Are we
forward.
doing a straw poll?
Well, should the mayor bring the architect, it's the architect, correct? In who for the next meeting?
Yeah, he said he's willing to come if you have still any unanswered questions.
Okay, so for questions, but as the design sits and the layout and the plan, is the council satisfied of all your questions been answered with the steel building and the masonry building, and we know the prices? And, okay, so Councilman.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casio.
Yeah, significant. It's sufficient.
Okay, so yes.
So I'm sorry if I'm misreading the poll you just took. Do you still want him at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But I think the overall plan, the money, we all have the facts and figures. So.
Great.
Thank you.
And thank you for going back to multiple times.
Mark, could you, for the next meeting for this, when the architect comes, can you get a list, an inventory of all the material, the vehicles and the accessories, so I can see how.
You probably already have it.
I'm sure we have it, but I'd like to have it there for the architect so he can say, hey, listen, we anticipate putting a plow here, a dump truck here, where things are going to be stored in this area.
Well, would we need the DPW for that also? To see
No,
what's
just
in
the
the
list.
building?
We just want to see what the list is,
Yeah, we have the list. He sent it out 2 meetings ago because I requested the original list. So the list actually was sent out, maybe
Right.
3 meetings ago. But I would point to your question though, has the DPW advised what they're planning on storing in the building versus what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You want to, take our little blocks and see where we're going to
We'll
put
get that, and I assume we can send that out as a point of information and not wait for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you. Outdoor lighting follow-up. Do we have a follow-up, Mr. Paula?
Well, I mean, I gave a bunch of ordinances. You're supposed to go over those and tell me what you liked about them, which one. I think I recommended one, but I mean, you were supposed to come back with any comments, but
I think as minimal as possible, just and related to more commercial and direct lighting in someone's bedroom based upon the one that you recommended, but what are other council members' opinions?
No. So just looking at the report from Mr. DiCarlo, it just shows, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just shows one complaint pertaining to intrusive lighting.
For this year. Right?
2022.
Yeah, we did
Yes.
have one last year, just so you know.
So for one, we're gonna change everything around. I don't think it merits a change.
And I kind of agree with that. That's why I asked for how many we had complaint wise. We can't legislate everything. It makes life difficult for everyone.
I think if there's an issue too, maybe the town could work with mediation instead of trying to change the
that's
ordinance.
probably the best way.
I mean, and the code official has been doing a great job, in my opinion, of addressing issues throughout the township.
I mean, Cresco's got some good wording, foot candle, glare, land, like things like that pertain. I mean, the ordinance is minimal, so. But
Well, we won't throw them out. We'll just keep them, and if there are more complaints, then we'll worry about passing something.
Okay.
It doesn't take long enough to pass it.
I agree.
Yeah, me too. Mr. Sears, what's your opinion?
I brought this out like a year ago because of 2 complaints, but it's 2 than 1. I mean, I don't want to legislate people to death. If there is a problem where somebody's security lights are blowing into their bedroom, then he can reach out to the code official and adjust the property.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think most neighbors.
Before we legislate this to death.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, move on.
Okay, all right, so we're going to not,
Right, moving along.
right, we're down with that one. The sign ordinance,
Okay, the sign ordinance, I actually threw something extra in here. The main part of it, if you remember, was to allow the tenants of the shopping center to use their windows.
33%.
Yeah, well, you said 33.
We said 40.
Somebody else, I think the majority was 40%. So I put 40 if you want to change it to whatever you like, but 40 is, whatever.
40 is fine.
So that's in there. And I actually used this opportunity to throw in a little change to 194.4. All that did was to, if you remember, we passed the new method for tenants to go to the zoning official rather than go to the planning board. So the question came up, what if they were just changing a sign because they were going to charge somebody just to do the sign? I said, no, that's the same as the tenant, for the tenant. It does not apply to the shopping center owner, though, the owner of the property, for the simple reason that that's bigger signs for the, if there was a movie theater or something, that should go to the planning board. So that's why that was changed. So it actually was put in there to direct that. And since it has to do with signs, we decided to put it in the same time.
So is everyone comfortable adding this to the agenda for the next meeting to introduce it?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sears?
Oh, yeah.
Councilman Cassia?
Sure.
Okay, so Sue, if you wouldn't mind? Yep. Thank you. Recreation fees, changes to men's softball. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much. Yeah, so if you look at the spreadsheet that was provided by the department, the new proposed fee is $65 per participant with an extra $25 for an out-of-town fee. However, I'm happy to report that since we went to self-funding of each program, unfortunately, COVID hit, so it got a little hard to track. But if you see in the left-hand column, about the third or fourth one down, it says other income 2022 balance. We are not tracking each program separately, and so we know exactly what is coming into the program and what expenses are being made. So we did have a balance from last year, a credit balance of $1,500. So we're taking that into account to determine the fees. And so if you go down now to the bottom, that 1476.35 number, that is the anticipated surplus for the year, but taking that 1,500 into account. So I'm very happy that we finally gotten to this point where we're tracking the money and we are using any excess from prior years to keep the fees low. And hopefully we won't have shortfalls, but if we do, I want to maintain, I consider that 1,500 number a comfortable cushion that if any extraordinary expenses come up that we didn't anticipate, it would still cover it in that number. So we're going to do this for now all the programs going forward.
Great. Anybody have any questions?
I like self-funding.
Is everyone in agreement to put this change on to the next meeting for introduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sears?
Absolutely.
Councilman Cassia? Okay, in the affirmative. Sue, if you would, please.
Thank you.
Yes, there's an end shortly. Amend Hoying Ordinance 1502, police vehicles follow-up. I saw your email. Mr. Pollard, do you want to take it?
On the,
Towing?
oh, I did I threw the ordinance in there, right? Threw this.
Yeah.
If you like it, take it. If you don't like it, don't do it. I mean, there was a discussion of whether, I remember Dr. Cassie was saying he really was not in favor of requiring whatever, but then I thought the general consensus was that you did want to do it, so, I mean, you have the ordinance, so.
I'm happy with the ordinance. Councilman Steers, were you able to review? Okay, Councilwoman Velez? Councilman Casio?
I will be voting no for it.
Okay, so there's
No.
3 to put it. Could you please add it to the next for introduction, please? And thank you to the Mr. DeCarlo for putting together the towing history. Where did Mr. DeCarlo go? Is he there?
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what happened? I was like, wait, did he leave and I didn't see?
Now I know my hiding spot.
Sorry. So, but thank you. There's minimal towing. I think there were like 2 incidents and then 1 year and then 3 the other year. So, okay. Okay. Any other comments on that one? Okay, grant quarterly report, October 2022. Who would like to take that one?
Is the microphone on?
Yeah, it says red. Uh-oh.
I don't hear anybody. Everything seems to be.
Test.
Ooh.
Are you unplugged again?
No. No.
Is it on?
Maybe next year we can budget for.
You want to turn it off and turn it back on?
Let's just go. Let's just roll. I'll just take no.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up.
Let's just roll.
Okay.
Let's do the best we can.
Who wants to do the grant writer? Grant report.
I mean, I think the intent was just, he changed the format.
It looks
Per
good to
council
me.
request. It kind of self-explanatory. If anyone has any specific questions, we're happy to get them answered on any grant in particular.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the grant report?
No, but I do have one question. We're going to get this grant for the swim club, and it does restrict the utilization of it, right? So we can't put any permanent buildings on. We talked about maybe putting a senior center or something there. Do we really want to hamstring ourselves for that? And we've spent the money already, right, for the property. We spent 800,000 on it?
More or less, yeah.
800,000. Do we want to hamstring ourselves for just saying we're just going to keep it for open space and fields because you can't build anything on it?
No, I've been in favor of not using the grant money the whole time because I think we should use it for what we want.
We want to have the ability to utilize that for, and definitely not a DPW, to make it a recreational area. And if we need indoor space is very important to run programs, basketball, whatever it may be. We really want to take that grant. It comes with a cost, so we have to weigh that cost. I like to be unstrung, okay? I'd like to be able to have access or ability to use it for another purpose if we need it. Not another purpose when I say another purpose, a recreational purpose, but to have the ability to put a structure on there. That's just my thought. So anyway.
So are you
Stacy, may I?
saying to give back the grant?
No, you can repurpose it, correct? If you have another open space, you
No.
can't.
I don't know if you
No.
can do that.
And
I don't know
if
you
I
can
may
do that.
Mr.
comment,
Mayor, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure what I'm about to say is correct. That if we turn this down at the 11th hour after we went to the presentation, they did a public hearing, we are not going to be looked upon favorable for future grants. So we should have not applied for it if that was going to be the thinking. But to turn it down now, I don't think that's good for future grant possibilities.
I think he's right.
I think he's right, but I do agree that, I was never in favor of using a grant for this property because I felt that it's of a plentiful size to accommodate so many needs in this town. And since we're now limited with the grant, I have not been in favor of the grant for this. However, could you ask the grant writer his opinion on, from his own past experience in this, if he's been exposed to this situation, what the consequences ultimately would be?
Yes.
Other towns would love us.
I'm sure, but it's not favorable.
They'll love us.
Like if we're talking about money for other purchases of property and then this is going to put us in a bad light, it's something we have to consider.
Sure. There's a lot of, there's a pro and con to it, Again, we have 11 acres. If we use
6 acres.
7, 8, whatever it is. If
6.
we use, okay, if we use 20% for a structure, that gives us ample open space to do whatever we need to do with unintrusive open space. So just a thought.
It just might not be possible. It might be too late.
Never too late.
Well, we'll have to
Never
see.
too late. Nothing's ever too late.
Until you accept the money.
That's right. Then it's too late. Then it's too late.
But
Can't
if
go
we
back.
don't want to be left in looking bad upon the people who will give us free
Yeah,
money and
that will, in my opinion, it will leave a very, since I went to the presentation and made
Yeah.
it to the board who decides these things, it'll leave a very bad taste in their mouth for future grants, but.
I mean, I get Councilman Cassio's point, but at the same time, we need to look to the future.
The time to have this discussion was
months
right
ago.
after we bought the property, before we even applied for the grant.
We did have this. We did have it.
I don't recall if it required a council vote at the time and the majority voted. I just don't recall.
We didn't vote. It was just discussion. I think the majority was to agree to ask the grant writer to look into opportunities.
Mhm.
I can look for that meeting. Okay, the next one is the hybrid meetings, the planning board, zoning board of adjustment. Thank you, Mr. DeCarlo and Mr. Mayor, for the support on this, along with the CFO, to give them the extra money to go hybrid. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments. I hope, like, no influence here. I'm just helping them with the budget.
So where was that money coming from? Do we know?
It wasn't extra money, yeah. It's just money that was not going to be used as part of the line that was used to record.
So the money's in the control line
Yeah,
for that?
well, it's actually in the sub account, yeah.
Okay.
I don't recall the name of the line right now.
All right.
It was going to have a little bit extra.
Okay. So it's not really a change. It's there to utilize how they want.
Absolutely.
The planning board doesn't have anything big between now and the end of the year, and the zoning has, 2 or 3 meetings left, so it was not a huge amount of money for us to find between now and the end of the year.
I did also ask the administration, the mayor, to add it to next year's budget also, so they have the funds available then too.
Well, I hope the governor rescinds his emergency order, to be quite honest with you. It's over. It's over. So get back to the normal, everyday, pre-March 13th, 2020 lifestyle.
But it's good though to have the money just in case of that. Okay. Senior citizen participation? Not me.
I think, weren't you talking about doing something for them to educate them on Zoom or something like that?
That was Daisy. That was Daisy.
Oh, I remember hearing it, but I don't recall who said it. Okay.
I didn't put it on either.
I didn't.
But.
Well, I think we're all participating right now. I can only speak for
That originally
myself.
was in closed session, and we're going to talk
And
about it
Tom.
here, miscellaneous.
No.
The FD one that I had. I would like to talk about it in open session here, if it's possible.
All right, something's going on because it's a loading of those. Everybody start talking and making noise at your microphone, please.
Hello.
Testing.
Oh, give me that mic close to the microphone.
So I don't know what that controls, but.
All right, let's just talk quickly before something goes completely. This is just beeping in my ear.
If I may, Council President,
I don't know if it's
sorry.
on the agenda.
Motion to suspend
it
the rules.
originally was.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Just if you could you just wait a minute, please? Thank you.
It originally was on the agenda under closed session, but
We're not
after,
having closed session.
No, not senior citizen.
I know, but after the discussion with the town attorney, he gave me directions that we could discuss it at miscellaneous.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So I'll go real quick.
All right, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
Okay.
breaking the rules.
So on October the 12th of this year, we had a major house fire down on Pascack Road. As everybody knows, it's a house across the street. The combination of the first duty fire truck had 2 chiefs, 2 firefighters, a probation, and a cadet. Their response to that fire actually suppressed about 90% of the working fire when they arrived on the scene. So I would like to have the mayor and the council present each one of those 6 firefighters with a service award ribbon, thanking them for their firematic duties during that fire scene. And also, one of the firefighters, I would like to present a new award called the Community Service Award for his outstanding leadership during the fire, helped to suppress a large amount of the fire, and then continue fighting the fire. So I would like to present, maybe not the next council meeting, or the following one, an award for those firefighters to acknowledge what they did that day. They actually saved 2 homes, believe it or not. The home to the left of it, it was so hot, it started melting the whole side of the house, and the fire was approaching that. So we don't give enough. We always say thank you, but I think a recognition to that group of firemen with that the diversity of them fighting the fire should be recognized. Thank you, Council Vice President.
You're very welcome. I do remember what the senior citizen participation was. It was, I'm sorry.
Don't you want to?
Well, I thought it would go, sorry, or that it would go to Mr. Giancarlo to work on the.
Well, first you agree? Why don't you, he's asking you to agree.
Okay, yes, I agree. Does anybody disagree? I'll go in a different direction. Does everybody agree that this is the way to go for those firefighters?
That's fine.
I will meet
I thought
with
it was
the
implied.
appropriate to write up the recommendation certificates, and I will have the pins ordered. I already talked to Council President Ms. Morgan, who allowed me to use our council budget to purchase the merit awards.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I'm sure you and Mr. Giancarlo and our lovely town clerk will be working together on it.
I'm sure she will be right there. Thanks, Sue.
Of course, of course.
Okay, next.
I was. Anyway, so,
Senior citizen.
yeah, senior citizen, sorry. I was going to ask you if we could ask the public for a volunteer to have the training class, the Zoom training class possibly at the library for the senior citizens, and see if there's anyone out there in the public who would like to assist with the training class. Because I'm sure we have lots of technologically savvy people who know Zoom, if that would be something that would work for you.
Don't look down this way.
Who's it going?
Tom, you're in charge of it.
That ain't happening.
Buy some ribbons.
And also, there was a interesting point brought up by one of our residents saying that if a resident doesn't have a computer, could they go to the library or somewhere with someone who does to watch the council meeting and participate? And I didn't know, I'm sure that's
We're
not
called
a violation or
specialists.
anything.
You know, the library is open at this hour of the night.
That's the other thing too, I wasn't sure about, so.
Okay.
This is
So-
as good as we get.
I have spoken with, as part of the Age Friendly Initiative, one of the ladies that runs the villages. There is already something in the works.
Okay.
So we are currently working on basically why reinvent the wheel if it already exists. So it is in the works.
Okay.
I just don't have all those details,
Okay.
which is why I didn't include it in my monthly report just yet. But we have been reaching out to some folks.
Okay, I got
For that
I got an inquiry from a resident, that's all.
Okay. Yep.
So thank you. We're not going into closed session. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.